I think we're about to be live. I'm finding out. I hit go. Is it going? Oh, hold on. Yeah, there we go. It's going. Should be going. Maybe gonna be going. Yeah, it looks all right. We're connected. Okay. Good, good, good. Let me check the horizontal real quick, friends. Looks like we're live on the horizontal. Yeah, yeah, we're good there. Cool. I think we're good to go now. Hey, friends, welcome in. Is it Monday already? I think it's already Monday. Excited to be here. Let me open up the guest boxes before I forget. There you go. Guest box is open on YouTube, and we're gonna get TikTok, and we'll get our guest box open on TikTok. Getting jiggy with it. You know what? That wasn't getting jiggy with it, but now that you mention it, sometimes that hum just kind of pops into my head, and it's obviously because I'm from that time period, and that was like a hit song before Will Smith went crazy, and like there was a time when it was okay to like Will Smith, like he was a like rational, semi-normal human being. I don't think those days are here, but I mean they're not here anymore. But I mean, what are you gonna do? The things is what they is. Let me open up a TikTok guest request real quick. So I got that open. Cool. All right. Then give me 1 second. I'm going to open up the live feed for the super chats so I can make sure and see those. All right, we got those open, and I got all the chats open. All the guest boxes are open, and I think, unless I missed something, I think everything's working. Cool, 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 cool. All right, I'm going to close the audio panel real quick and move a couple things around here, and hopefully be good to go. Oh, I should plug in before I forget the soundboards for the sound effects. I always forget to do that. My software is really interesting because like I tell it, like I've programmed it to do some stuff, and sometimes it does it and sometimes it doesn't. It seems to be failing to remember some of my audio connections. It's supposed to. It's just not. I have to work on that apparently. I'll have to figure out where the thing is dropping out at, but it should be good now. I just added it to the soundboard. Let me make sure we can hear it. How's this? That seemed to work. It was a little bit loud. We'll take care of that. But everyone heard that, right? Everyone heard the DJ horns. I heard them. I suppose y'all heard them. That's just what happens when you assume. But I think this is a safe assumption. Could be wrong on that one. Although the volume on that was pretty loud. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Let's see if this is better. I don't want to blow anyone's ears out. How's this? It's not so bad. All right. Cool, cool, cool. All right. I think we're ready to rock and roll, friends. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to request up, you're like, actually, no, this can't be the case. I think that Christians do have morals. And in fact, those fucking atheists are the ones without the morals. Hey, today's your day. Love to hear from you. You're welcome to come in and let me know why that is or isn't the case, and we'll talk about it. We'll have a conversation about it. But nevertheless, my claim stands, and I think it's gonna be a fun one. I don't know if we haven't ran this topic before, but we're running it today, so it should be a good time. It is a little. I will say this: it might be a little tongue in cheek. I think that's fair to say. But YouTube's out of sync. What about what? Oh, you think the soundboard's still too hard? Too loud? I can turn that down. Someone's saying that the audio is out of sync. Is that correct? If you're on YouTube, let me know if the audio is out of sync and which stream it is. I can pull it open on my end and see too. Shouldn't be a big deal to correct. Usually it's a pretty simple correction. Audio is 5 by 5. I don't know what that means, my friends. On that, I'll have to uh, claim stupidity. Um, correct. Well, I'll check it. Let me pull it open and see where the delay is, and I'll correct it real quick. Shouldn't be a big deal. My deepest apologies there. I didn't realize that was a thing that was happening, but it's should be easy enough to fix. Usually these types of issues aren't too big of a problem. All right, give me 1 second. Oh, I think I see the problem. I think the problem is the not getting enough data to keep up, so the stream video is skipping. I'll fix it. No worries. Give me 1 second. Okay. Back here in a second. Okay. Stream should be back. Give it a second to load. Perhaps. Maybe. Maybe it's gonna catch up. We'll see here in a second. Is the audio working? Just not the video? Come on, YouTube. I believe in you. You can do it. You can do it. What's the hold up here? What's the hold up here? Okay, yeah, everything's set where it's supposed to be here. Did it not restart? Well, I can tell it to restart again. I'm not sure why it didn't restart the first time. Let's see. It says it's going. It says it's going, but it is certainly not on YouTube Studio. Let me refresh YouTube Studio. Maybe that's the problem. Did it not catch it? Oh, it is live. My browser needed refreshed apparently. Okay, let me see if the audio is synced up. Yeah, audio synced up. Good. I don't know why YouTube Studio decided to freeze. That's a new one. Okay, we're good to go now. Sorry about that, friends. Let me grab Ems and then possibly our first guest already, and we'll get some conversation started. Before we do that, let me make sure we can hear Ems. Ems is coming up in a second. He's loading. Getting the loading dots of doom. I believe we're going to get it, though. Maybe. I hope we're going to get M's. I'd love to get M's in the box. We'll see. Nevertheless, I think we'll have our first guest here at least in a minute, and we'll get everything rocking and rolling here, friends. Before M's pops in, I'm going to grab that monitor, and so I can bring in the YouTube guests, or rather the TikTok guests, that is, and we'll be able to. Oh, that's the wrong screen. Oops. I'll try this again. We want that screen. There we go. That's the one we're looking for. Now we should be able to bring in our TikTok guests if they can connect. Apparently, Ems is not connecting. Not a big deal. We'll get Ems when he can connect. For now, let's get in Fenrison and perhaps have our first conversation. Welcome in, Fen. Are you at least 18?
Yeah, Justin, I spoke to him before. I'm a
Oh,
friendly. I'm just watching the YouTube stream. It looked like the video was lagging like a 1 second or 2 seconds behind the audio.
yeah.
But otherwise, once you refresh it, if everybody in YouTube refreshes it, it resyncs.
Oh, interesting. I didn't check to see if that could have fixed it, but nevertheless, it's not a big deal. I was using kind of an experiment. I've got two ways of feeding the stream out of my software. One is by having my computer encode it and send it to YouTube, and one my browser encodes it and then sends it to my server, and then my server sends it to YouTube, which it seems like it's working, but it might be a second delayed. I'll have to look at that delay. There might
I
be a
just saw
setting.
I on YouTube. I just saw your behind the scenes, what you were working on. I don't know how why it got shown, but it showed your program, and I almost went into existential mode. I was like, "What the heck is this?"
It's it's pretty gnarly. But I the it's so I'll say this, it's making my life way simpler, because I have a lot less software that I have to run to make the live streams work. Like everything's now in like one package, and I can put it all on one screen basically, as opposed to using freaking four screens like I was. So we're going places, buddy.
Good, good.
Yeah,
Well,
but thanks for the
you and I
information. That's
last time we talked, we said we were gonna do some deconstructing together at some point, but I don't want to take over M's spot, nor take a spot that you want to give to somebody else. It's up to you, but
But yeah,
oop,
well, I'll be doing a Q&A live in a little while, in a couple weeks. You're welcome to come up during the Q&A, and we can hit any topics you need to hit.
sounds good, brother. You have a good one. Be safe.
Hey, hey, thanks. You too. Appreciate it. W Fen. All right, so perhaps we've got our first guest behind Fen, and it looks like it might be Dan Ziller. Maybe. See if I said that right. Welcome in,
Hi.
Dan.
I don't know. Is it? I just have a question. Like, can I ask question or it's just argument? Just debates. Can I ask a question or it's just debates?
Well, maybe. This is supposed to just be debates. I do have a Q&A that'll be coming up here recently in the near future that you can, if you just want
Okay.
to pop up and ask
I just
questions.
disconstructed. Okay. I just disconstructed. So I'm just having some challenges. So I just wanted to see
Sure.
if it was possible to share it. Or if it's just the debates, maybe another time, maybe during the time.
Yeah,
Or
my
can I ask
apologies.
it?
These will just be debates, but I would recommend joining the our Discord. If you go to my link tree, my profile, you'll see a link to the Deconstruction Junction. Get in. We've got a really cool community over there. We're like 7,000 people in the deconstruction community, and a lot of them have just as good as answers that I'll ever give you. In fact, we got professionals too. We've got a professional therapist. We've got professionals from different fields. A lot of diversity in there. It'd be a good place to hang out.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will check it out.
All right,
Mm,
cheers, buddy.
mm.
If you haven't joined the Discord yet, what are you waiting for? Discord's dope. Ours specifically, is dope. Anyways, I think perhaps Lenny is in. Actually, Joe's in next, then Lenny. Although I have talked to Lenny a few times. It's just been a bit. Let me grab a couple of super chats, and then we'll get Joe in here. Texas Panhandler, my friend, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Happy Monday to everyone who is rock hard for Doug and Simply What for sharing. First, quick shout out to my love-based Shara 19 days. Oh, are you guys gonna have a 1 month anniversary? We do need to talk details about this. And Christians don't have morals, they have instructions that they forget to read. That's basically the point. You kind of nailed the argument for tonight, buddy. And House, good to see it. Says audio video out of sync, just a tithe to report the issue before it gets out of hand. Thank you. Well, House, I appreciate the feedback. That tells me everything I need to know, I think, to get it fixed up. And I suspect that my audio and my video timestamps are different. I think that might be the case. I'll have to look at making sure the timestamps stamps get synced up. Supersonic, hey, good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Are you interested in debating higher profile apologists like Wes Huff? Well, he doesn't debate. And William Lane Craig, reaching out and offering. Are you waiting until after your PhD? No, actually, I would debate either one of them whenever they want. I know William Lane Craig doesn't debate people typically that don't have PhDs, so he might not even want to debate someone like me. And Wes Huff doesn't want to debate. His goal was never to debate. That thing he did with Billy. Oh, I always forget his last name. I want to say Billy Madison because that movie is I'm that old. But was it Billy Carson? No, no, no. Fuck, I forget. Well, you guys know the voodoo woo woo emerald tablets nonsense guy. Um, he only took that on not because he wanted to debate, just because he was saying such nonsensical shit. Like it was the lowest hanging fruit possible. Like anyone who had even like a freshman class in biblical hermeneutics would have been able to destroy him. So, anyways, that's how that came about. But yeah, if one of them wanted to debate, or if there's a high profile that wanted to debate, I'm more than happy to do it. But you guys know my position. My position is to change people's opinions, and one of the ways I do that the best is running this stream. I get more eyeballs on this stream than just about anywhere else I'm going to go. However, if I can get a big stage, a university or something like that, where I can debate a high-profile apologist, more than happy to do it. Love to do it. Cynthia, hey, thank you for the super chat, friends. Isn't God interfering in free will when he has one people group attack another people group, or when he hardens people's heart? Oh yeah, for sure. And you'll see this when I debate the free will argument. I almost always go to like Joshua chapter 11 or Exodus chapter 6 through 11, where we've got God hardening people's heart. You can go to Romans chapter 9, where Paul confirms it, that you don't really have free will. God does what he wants to. And in fact, he says he raised up Pharaoh for this very purpose, meaning the purpose of having Pharaoh do what he did. And he says in the Hebrew Bible that he has made everything for its purpose, even the wicked for the day of destruction. Oh, so that means he designed it. He created everything that you see around us, which is why the Proverbs say that he declares the end from the very beginning, because he designed the end. So that's why I would say that. Yeah, I think you're right, Cynthia. All right, let me get Joe in here. I don't know if this is our old friend Joe or a new Joe. I assume we'll find out here in a moment. Welcome in, Joe. Are you at least 18?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah,
Awesome. And do you believe in the Christian God?
yeah.
Awesome. And do you think that the Christian God or the Christian religion gives you objective morals?
I wanted to engage with your prompt that you had.
Yeah.
Are you changing your prompt?
Is your is
Are
your
you changing your
connection
prompt?
is your connection okay?
Hold on a second.
Because it sounds like you're talking through like a landline from 1982.
I don't know how to use it to my.
Do you have
I
Wi-Fi?
can't use. I can't use anything but my headphone.
Maybe your headphones are broken. Are you on the phone?
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, just unplug your headphones, buddy.
No, it's I don't want to go to the speaker on my phone. I don't know how to disconnect. Oh, here, hold on a second.
You can select a different microphone without changing your output.
Hello.
Yeah, actually, you didn't have the right microphone selected anyways. I changed it for you. It should be good now. And he left. I that's the other good thing about the software package. I can actually just manually change their hardware when they've come in and I know they fucked it up. They selected the wrong shit. That makes my life a little bit easier. So happy about that. The other thing, well, I'll save that for another time. But that gets dropped. So I guess I'll give him a minute to see if he gets back up. He seemed like he wanted to address the prompt. I didn't hear anything that sounded like he didn't want to debate the prompt. So I'm assuming he was telling the truth. Just needs to get his microphone situation figured out. But it's interesting that he accused me of like changing the prompt. Christians have no morals. I think most people here understand that there are theoretically, two types of morals: objective morals and subjective morals. That's really where the root of the argument lies, which is what Texas Panhandler was alluding at. And they really don't even have morals as much as commands. It's more like divine command theory. So I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. He didn't come back. So let me grab Miss Meg's chat here, and then we're gonna grab our next guest. even Miss Mexican, thank you for being a member over a year. Even setting aside God changing minds, why isn't the free will one of the victims considered? Should shouldn't God step in to protect their free will? So this is an interesting thing because in the Christian framework, you have to assume that God, like they assume that God gives everyone free will, and He's not supposed to intervene on their free will, but He will let other people intervene on other people's free will. So He's like, it'd be wrong for me to intervene on your free will, but it's okay if that person does it, right? So it's a weird concept. You think if free will is that important, God would have designed it so it's much less likely for someone to have their free will impeded. Given that he doesn't really care about that, it seems like this isn't as big of an issue as people would think. But I think you're right, Miss Megs. And sometimes he causes stuff. He causes prophecies to come true. You know, like the what happened with David's wives. You know, different things like that. And so, if that's the case, if God causes things to come true via prophecy or prayer, well, I mean, it just means that somewhere along the line, God has to change somebody's free will to make it happen. I don't know if there's much way around that. All right, let's grab our next guest.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome in, Owen.
Hi.
Owen, are you at least
So,
18?
yes,
Awesome. And do you believe in the Christian God?
yes,
Cool. And do you believe that being a Christian means that you have morals? Typically, we refer to morals, like in the Christian worldview, as usually objective. Is that what you believe?
I believe the Christian faith does provide an objective set of morality. Yes.
Sure. And what do you think the word objective means when we say objective morals?
So I think it is objective is a truthful and precise moral framework in this context.
Interesting. Do you know, like, I assume the answer is no. Have you looked up the definition of objective morals?
Uh, I could not give it to you off the top of my head. No.
But that's okay. So typically there are two types of morals. One is objective and one is subjective. Something that exists subjectively means that it exists dependent on a mind. So we would say, you know, the thing that I drew on the paper would be, if I said that thing is a beautiful piece of art, well, that's subjective. That's just my
Mm-hmm.
opinion about the thing, right? It's dependent on my brain and my opinions, right? Now, if it was objective, that means it would exist independent of my brain completely and independent of any brain. Like it would just have an objective status. And that's the
Yeah,
difference with
in
morals, right?
respect.
So subjective morals are morals that human beings make. We're like, this is the way to do this is the way to not do that. Those are subjective morals. Objective morals mean that they would exist independent of any mind at all. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily talking about their preciseness, although they would be precise and true. It's talking about how they exist. They exist objectively. Now, I think the
Mm-hmm.
problem with the idea that Christians have objective morals is you probably think that morals comes from the Christian God, right?
The Ten Commandments, which were given by the Christian God. Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, not just the 10. There was 613, right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
the main 10 that are widely accepted, everyone knows.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because they existed prior to the 10 Commandments
Yes.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So nevertheless, do you think that these laws are objective?
The Ten Commandments.
Yeah, that they exist objectively.
It is an objective fact that they exist. I'm sorry
Yeah.
that I'm confused a little. Could you rephrase the question, please?
Yeah. Do you think they exist objectively, or do you think they depend on a mind?
I think they exist objectively because they were given by God.
Okay. And did God's mind decide what they would be?
God does not have a mind. God is all powerful, all knowing.
God, but
God
the Gospel of John says that the
grants
Holy
us the
Spirit
power from God.
searches the mind of God, doesn't it?
Yes.
Does God think?
God knows.
But does he have thoughts?
Could he theoretically? Yeah, probably. I don't think we
Do you-
can say for sure. Like, if we ask these like questions that are coded to our physical earthly bodies, they're very difficult to apply to a metaphysical being and idea such as God. I think it's very difficult to answer questions like these, and I am not extremely well versed in the very deep philosophical and theological element of that.
Okay, but the point being that whatever you want to call God's agency, the rules came from God, meaning they're dependent on somebody to create them, which would make them subjective. They don't exist independent. Like God's existence, if God existed, would be objective and independent of all minds, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the fact that the rules and regulations, the morals, came from a being that invented them just means that they're subjective. That's all. Now, the question that I would have is if God gave like a subjective set of morals, say like the commandments given to Moses, why would we think that first of all we should follow them?
Because God is all good, God is all powerful. If God gives us these commandments of what is good, if God is all good, we should follow them
Why do you think God's good?
because God is all good. I
How
mean,
do you how do you know that?
it's all about the Christian belief. And I mean, honestly,
Well,
I think that as of right now, I'm sorry. This as of right now, this is probably not going to really get us anywhere if we're just going in this circle because I feel like we are getting at the start of a circular engagement where how is God all good? Well, because he is all good, and it's just going to end up circular.
that is circular,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
right. That's kind of the point, right? So if you don't know if God is good, then how do you know that his commands are good?
you do know that God is all good because he is all good.
How do you know that?
All right, I'm sorry. Thank you for having me on. I'm a bit out of my element here.
Fair enough. Thanks for coming by. Cheers, Owen.
All right, thank you.
I'll tell you what, that was one truthful Christian. I'll give you that. Usually they just make up stuff on the spot and hope they don't get called out. He actually, I think he understood the circularity of the argument. Okay. Hmm. I don't even know what to think. I kind of like him now. I don't even know what to write in my notes. Understands that you cannot prove that God is good. Mm, maybe clip into a short. That's way too short to be used as an actual video clip. Okay, cool. Let's get our next guest in here. And Steve-O is now in the YouTube guest box, but no Joe. Joe did not come back. I assume Joe didn't want to talk now. Dave, thank you for the super chat. The writings of the late great Farrell Till were instrumental in my deconversion. Are you familiar with his writing? I'm not actually. Um, there's a lot of, I would say, like well-known or even famous atheists or deconstruction writers. I don't really know any of them. I kind of deconstructed on my own. It's kind of a lonely process for me, and to me, the deconstruction process was a matter of engaging with the biblical scholarship and recognizing that even at the highest levels of biblical studies, the book doesn't really hold up. You have to put a whole lot of faith in there to make anything work. But let's grab our next guest here. Welcome in the Lamb Apologetics. Are you at least 18?
Yeah,
Cool. And do you believe in the Christian God?
I do.
Cool. And do you think that Christians have objective morals?
Yep.
Okay. And why?
Yeah, we have objective morals because if God is going to be goodness itself, and then he has perfect actuality within himself, which means that all identifications are going to be extended only to himself in perfect knowledge, then any moral declaration he makes is just going to be sort of like an atomic proposition. of just his nature. And so, and obviously I adhere to like a Terence Cuneo sort of metaethical framework. So whenever we talk about how we sort of attain knowledge of the moral realm, this could be in virtue of just epistemic facts existing, and then their moral deliberation can flow from that. So that can be a form of natural reasoning.
Sure, but I don't know if that really answered my question. How is it that God's morals are objective? Because if they come from God, that means they were decided by God.
No, that's not how moral deliberation works within the
So,
Christian paradigm. It isn't
so,
God has an attitude, therefore God's like is like subjective morals because he speaks about something.
so God didn't create morality.
No, the notion that morality is ontologically like extended from God is incorrect. Christians don't believe that.
Oh, so they just exist independently and God has to follow them?
I literally just said morality doesn't have some ontological extension from God.
Well, that
That
means
means
they're
that there is no
that means
external
they're
existence beyond himself.
okay, so then they don't exist objectively then.
Are you listening to what I said? No, they exist
Yeah,
objectively because they would exist in the sense that we're just denoting it to God's nature.
that's not what objective means. What do you think God's nature is?
What What do you mean that's not what objective means? Define objective.
Objective morals means that they would exist independent of a mind. Like a mind doesn't have to make them up.
A mind doesn't have to make them up. Okay, that's fine. I can go by those semantics. Yeah, he doesn't just make them up.
Okay, where'd they come from?
His nature.
Oh, what do you think a nature is?
We can deal with the first problem first, which is, do you think like when we talk about objective morality, right? And I say his nature, it seems like you still have this like inclination that like if he recognizes or has knowledge of himself, then this would somehow cause like let me turn my notification off. This would
Hmm.
somehow like make them subjective. Do you believe that like the mind recognizing anything that could be considered part of the moral domain, therefore makes it subjective?
Only if it's dependent on the mind.
And when you mean dependent, do you mean that the concept can come from nothing but the mind itself, or
Means
are
it
you
was
also attributing
created.
recognition?
It was created by a mind.
Okay, and when you say created, do you mean that like prior to the sort of conception within the mind, this thing could not be accessed otherwise?
Yeah, it doesn't have existence except for a mind causing it to exist.
um, okay. Yeah, so if we just say God, like God is goodness, because that's the classical Christian view, this wouldn't denote morality as existing beyond himself. So even if he create, like obviously we think he gives moral commands, right? But all moral commands are just going to be
Hmm.
extensive of perfect knowledge of himself because he
I,
has
I don't know what
transcendental phenomenological traits.
I don't know what knowledge has to do with the morals yet. So what we're trying to figure out, right? You said that they're objective because they come from God's nature. And my follow-up question was, what is a nature?
I'll just denote nature to whatever someone like St. Aquinas may have like discussed it as.
Which is what?
I can look up the specific summa. Hold on.
I mean, the definition's pretty easy. It's usually like the necessary
Well,
characteristics that define something.
the necessary characteristics that define something.
And characteristics, properties,
It
whatever you
just
want to call them.
depends. I wouldn't say like properties because like we had this problem when we were discussing things like against skeptical agnostic, for example, because like you're gonna come to a lot of problems. You see like they're just like these sets of properties or these bundles of properties.
Hmm. So what is a nature?
Let me look at this. I hate going through the sim. Okay. Yeah, so probably just going to be the nature refers to essential form of something, right? So, for example, when we say like God's nature identical is going to be identifiable with goodness, then this is just going to be claiming that his essence is himself and being.
So God, the definition of nature is God's goodness.
No, that was an explication after the fact of what I described it as.
Right. So what is a nature? Like the definition. If I said the nature of a
I
grape,
already
the
said it's the
nature
essential
of
form of
God,
something.
the well, God doesn't
Excuse
have
me.
a form in your
A
worldview.
form of something or a substance just means the whatness.
But
It's not
God
like
doesn't
I'm not
have
saying
form
form
though.
like he has a physical form.
Okay, well, what do you think form is then? Because the definition in philosophy of nature is the essential character or inherent quality or fundamental makeup of something, which is what I said.
Okay, are you giving an external critique or an internal critique as a Christian paradigm claim there's an inconsistency within the model?
Neither. I'm asking you questions.
Obviously, these things are going to be underpinned. I would like to know what the underpinning are.
The underpinning is I need a definition for nature, or else we can't move forward because we need to be working on the same definition.
I gave you Saint Thomas Aquinas' definition.
Well, it doesn't match like the actual definition, and I don't think you actually used it properly.
What
Well,
do you mean
give it to me
actual
again.
definition? Do you think
Give it
definitions
to
are objective?
give it to me again. I'll write it down.
Yeah. So a nature from St. Thomas Aquinas is just going to refer to the essential form of a substance, so the whatness of a thing.
So the essential form of a
Mm-hmm.
substance. What do you think? Do you think God has a substance?
Of a substance of a thing. So when I say a substance, that just means the whatness, like how we
So
describe God.
so God is a what?
Sure. What do you think?
Okay.
What do you think our conception of God is? Do
Um,
you believe we think he's some like we think like beyond just the incorporealness? Do you think that we think this is like some illogical existence in which we cannot actually like explicate any further upon him?
mhm. So I'm just trying to get your definitions down. So you're saying that the nature is the essential form of a substance, which means it is the essential form of whatness. Is that what you're trying to say?
It's a form of a substance, which is the whatness of a thing.
That, I get it. That's why I replace substance with the whatness.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think nature is the essential form, although I think we need to actually define form properly, the essential form of the whatness of something. So, what do you think whatness means? Because I think this is going to become circular. I think the whatness of something typically defines the essential characteristics of it. That makes it the what. So, what is God's whatness?
The whatness can just be denoted to a description of this thing as it exists in its essence. So, like for
Well,
example, the whatness here that we're denoting to in terms of the moral talk that we've been like kind of deviating from is the goodness ipsum, right? In which we say that he's goodness because he has this sort of perfect ontology. This is like what we
I
talk about when we talk about the necessity of the
have
being
no
is the
idea why you keep
perfection.
going to goodness. We're just trying to define whatness at this point. So you're saying that whatness is the description of his essence, and what else?
Hold on, I'm getting a call.
I don't think it's Jesus. There's some top tier world salad though. I'll tell you that.
There you go. My fault. My wife
Well,
called me.
welcome back. So far for the definition of whatness, I've got the description of his essence, but I thought there was a couple other words in there. Can you fill that in for me?
What a couple words? You're talking about the when I talked about the whatness of a thing?
I'm just asking you for the definition of whatness. You said the description of essence. Is that what you're sticking to?
I said we can just simplify and denote it to that. Yeah,
Okay. And this is going to make it really circular now. What do you think the definition of essence is?
essence. That was going to be
Hmm.
defining sets of properties that make a thing what it is.
I thought you said God didn't have any properties.
I said when we talk about nature, we don't denote nature to a set of properties, right? You got to think
Gotcha.
Aquinas when to yeah to like if I have to explain further on like Aquinas's understanding, like it's going to be Aristotelian. Yeah, you know about like Aristotelian metaphysics.
No, 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 no. I went to school to like study real topics.
Okay, I don't. That was like pretty horrible rhetoric. Anyways,
No,
Aristotelian
this
metaphysics is going to
this is
conclude
true.
that natures are like
I studied something
principles of
useful.
motions.
That's all.
Define useful. What?
Do you make money as a philosopher?
Wait, is something being lucrative mean that it's useful?
Mm, yeah, yeah. If you can't actually put it to use, it's kind of a waste.
Wait, so fatherhood isn't lucrative, but yeah, we wouldn't say that like
Did you get a
it's
degree in
not useful,
fatherhood?
right?
Did you get a degree in fatherhood? Is that what you did?
Dog what?
I'm talking about paying
Okay.
money to get a piece of paper. If you paid money for a piece of paper that doesn't do anything for you, you did something useless. So it is pretty easy. We're doing is getting your definitions nailed down, so we can make sure that we're all talking about the same thing right now. That's all we're doing. So right now we're
What
stuck on
the
basic definitions. We started with nature, right? So nature is
mhm,
defined to you as the essential form of a substance. Substance is basically whatness. So I'm gonna reconstruct this a
mhm,
little bit. I'll do parentheses. I'll say whatness is really what you meant here. Whatness means the description of essence, which means we actually would just put in here description of essence.
I didn't.
Oop,
Well, I didn't say
essence,
whatness was the
and then
description of the essence. You asked
essence
me what the
means
essence was.
essence means the defining set of properties. So then we can just do defining set of properties. And now it's actually really interesting. Definition of nature means the essential form of a defining set of properties, which is ironic since that was my definition of nature.
No, I already did. I already clarified that this is denoting to Aristotelian metaphysics. I gave you a simplified
That
form and then said the Aristotelian metaphysics is going to say when we talk about the whatness, they're principles of motion.
which uh which one of these definitions is wrong?
Which one of what definitions?
The
Oh, you wrote
ones
it
on
on the
this
screen.
on
Okay.
the screen.
Essential form of a substance. That's not wrong. I said it's simplified. But then when you started to try to break it down and then
Hmm.
claim there's actually more like atomic reference beyond that, I said, yeah,
At-
because it's
atomic
simplified, but the
reference.
Aristotelian, yeah, that means
What do you think
that
that
means that
means?
like something can an atomic referent, it just means that whatever's referred within a proposition or whatever you're describing can be broken down or simplified further.
Oh, that's
Like for
certainly
example,
interesting.
when you say like an atomic proposition would be like the dog is walking and then something or not, well actually no, I was incorrect. The atomic referent is what can't be broken down, my fault. But yeah,
Sure.
it's still what I was saying was when I gave you the Aristotelian metaphysical explanation here, I said nature's the principle of motion, right? And then the simplified version of what it
Right.
means for the form of a substance or the whatness is just going to be congruent insofar as the principle of motion is going to be something that's like essential or in accordance
So
towards teleology.
God's morals come from his motion.
It comes from, well, you can just say that it's a principle of himself, sure.
What's a principle of himself even mean?
The principle of motion within nature is again, I as I was explaining, is the teleology, right? And then I'm saying that like for something's nature, like you can say like an acorn's ordered to becoming like an oak, right? So it's characterized by a specific set of things like I don't know, like growth, reproduction, things that flow from itself, right? So when we say that goodness is of nature, right? We just say that this is like flowing from himself
So things
because
can
like goodness we just think is perfection.
Well, I'm not talking about goodness yet. We're still talking about the definition of literally nature at this point, right? So, is it still true that you would define nature as the essential form of substance, which means whatness?
In its simplified version, yeah, but if we want to be more conducive, I think we should just use like the actual Aristotelian explanation, which is nature is a
What?
principle of motion, so
Well,
things that
okay.
flow from a thing.
So you don't like that definition. All right. So let me go back, and I'm just gonna cross out that definition for now, and we're gonna do. Give me 1 second. We're gonna do nature definition is gonna be what now about motion?
A principle of motion or something flowing from itself or flowing from a thing.
Of motion that flows from a thing. This should be interesting. Okay, by principle, what are you referring to?
Like when we talk about like, principles of the like
Uh-huh.
principles of motion are just going to be like the theory or concept of something. Like when I say the principle is the principle of motion, like
So
I'm
the
not like we
concept.
is sure. Are we going to do this thing where like we're not actually going to talk about the substance and we're just going to get into like
Actually,
meandering of like constantly
I'm
breaking down every other word I
I'm
say?
literally talking about the substance right now. I'm just asking you to accurately define these words because like here in like non-Filbro land, we just talk normally, but you have to inject all these words that are used
Wait,
weirdly,
I
which
tried to do
means
that,
we
and
have
then what
to we
happened
have to
was you
actually
didn't understand
define
anything I said.
the words. I literally wrote them down. I wrote them down word for word. So I'm just writing them down so that we can actually have the same understanding of these words when we talk about them. That's all I'm doing. So you've got the definition of nature as a principle of motion that flows from a thing. And you said principle means what to you?
Did you not? Okay. So, because I know you put on that rhetoric about like Philbro thing, but here's the thing: is I gave you the simplified form, and you seem to not be able to understand that, nor
Just
come to any sort of
just
like
waiting for a
conducive
definition.
like dialect about it.
Just waiting for a definition, that's all.
A definition of what?
Of what you think principle means.
I don't know. Just pull it from the dictionary, bro.
Well, you gave it. I'm using your definition. What do you think it means?
I'll just use the
Why
most typical
why are you using
understanding of
why are
principle.
you using words that you don't know the meaning of? What a wild thing.
That's not what's happening. What's happening is
Then give me
I've
the
given you
definition.
multiple definitions of things, and each time that I keep doing it, you're
Hmm.
like, well, like even earlier when I gave you the definition of nature, you were like, that's not the actual definition. Like clearly, the
Well, it's
underpinning
not.
here is you believe there's like some objective understanding of definitions.
I don't believe that. I'm just literally using the dictionary as we use it in English. If you want to appeal to a different form of using the word, you're welcome to. That's why I'm writing down your definitions. It just happens to be that when you do the you hammer it out, you go through each level. I actually just meant what I said, but I'm still trying to figure out by principle because the definition of a principle is usually like some kind of fundamental property or law of something. Like it defines
Yeah, or
um,
explanatory ground. Yeah.
it defines some kind of like nature of something. Like, does that make sense?
No, the principle is not defining nature of something. What are you talking about? It
It,
just
the
means it's
definition in
like an
Merriam-Webster literally
originating or
says
explanatory.
it literally just says the laws or facts of nature is one of the definitions.
Yeah, that's one of the definitions. Yeah,
So
sure.
which one are you using?
I just said like when you explained it, and then and that was something that I added on. I said, yeah, an explanatory ground of something. Yeah, that was one of the
Wait,
definitions you gave.
well, I didn't say anything about ground. So you think we would define principle as the explanatory ground? Is that correct?
Yeah, an
Okay,
explanatory ground of something.
interesting. And you're not gonna like this, but what do you mean by explanatory ground?
Explanatory ground is just going to be something in which can be expressed through some means. Oh, do you need a definition for that too?
No, you
Is
just
it going
gave
to
it to
be
me.
is it just going to
Something
infinite atom of
that
like
can
definitional like
be
explanation?
expressed through something. Is that what you said?
Sure. Now,
Cool.
can we go back to the original
Well,
understanding of whether
we're
or not this is
actually
intrinsic or extrinsic? Or are you gonna?
we actually are working
Because
on
if
that
you're gonna
right
rage
now.
bait, trust
So
me, I
what
can
we're trying to
utilize
do right now is
much
just for
more
you to figure out
like
how
jargon.
your words work, right? So right now, the
Mm,
definition of nature is a principle of motion that flows through a thing. And principle, you mean the explanatory ground. So what I'm going to do is just say, rather than principle, we're going to say an explanatory ground of motion that flows from a thing. And by explanatory ground, you actually mean something that can be expressed through something. Did I get that wrong, or is that what you said? Because
No, I
now the
never
sentence
said you
would
need to
be,
express through something.
you didn't say the word expressed.
I said dude. This rage bait's hilarious. No, I never said
I'm
express
I'm
through
literally just
something.
asking
That
for
was
definitions.
that was the
So what's the
yeah, that was
definition?
the highlighted word there.
So which word do you want me
Definition
to
of
replace?
explanatory ground.
Yeah, which word do you want me to replace?
You can keep whatever you want.
Well, I'm asking you for your definition.
It's not like
These are your
it's not
words.
gonna yeah, sure, the semantic reduction's not gonna work because you're still gonna
It's
get
not a
like slammed
semantic
on the substance
reduction.
itself.
I'm literally just trying to figure out what you're using these words for. So right now, I've
Yeah,
got the
that's the
definition of
definition of a
nature
semantic
is
reduction.
a something that
What?
can be expressed through something of motion that flows through a thing. Is that your definition of nature?
What? Repeat that.
So far, your definition of nature is something that can be expressed through something of motion that flows through a thing.
No, motion that flows through a thing. No, I never said that. I said that
You didn't say
it's
the
the
word motion.
motion, or yeah, I said the word motion. I'm glad you picked the word that was obviously used
So
and ignored the rest of what was highlighted.
where's the word that I need to replace here? It's on the screen. Just tell me how to form it. I've got something that can be
It's pretty
expressed
small.
through something of motion that flows through a thing.
Sure. So, I mean, ignoring the grammatical issues, something that can express
Well,
through
that's
something
because I
of motion
copy
that
and
flows from a thing.
because I copy and pasted it, but I mean it's irrelevant. We're asking for you to tell me what it should say.
Yeah, I already explained what nature was. I said it's the principle of motion, right,
Mm-hmm.
in which something flows
Oh,
from, right? So it's
that.
primarily and essentially the features
Uh-huh.
teleologically from the thing, right? And I gave you an
Sure.
example with an
So
acorn.
so the nature, because you said nature is the principle, and principle means the explanatory ground, and the explanatory ground means something that can be expressed through something, which means it actually means something that can be expressed through something of motion that flows through a thing. You think that's coherent?
Are you like purposely this like pedantic or
I'm actually just showing you that you're using words you don't understand. You're just throwing them together because you heard the argument somewhere. You have no
I've
idea what
actually
these words even
explained
mean.
I've explained the word. Hold on, you don't even know what Aristotelian metaphysics are.
I don't need to
You're
know
commenting on
Aristotelian
Aristotelian metaphysics.
metaphysics to know how the word works in
You
English.
don't need to know Aristotelian metaphysics in order to actually have a
No,
dialect about the concepts
already
themselves.
learned English.
What are you talking about? Already learned English? What was that supposed to refer to?
I didn't actually need to read Aristotle to know these definitions, as it turns out.
What do you mean by know these definitions? Again, that sounds like
Yeah,
there's
I
some
just looked at
underpinning
the
of objectiveness
dictionary.
to definitions.
I just looked at the dictionary.
Oh, so definitions are going to be contingent upon the dictionary only.
Well, if you speak English, then your definition should be at least related to what the dictionary says they're related to, or else you're just talking nonsense.
Why?
If the goal is to actually communicate something to
there's
somebody,
plenty of
then
words.
what you have to do is actually use the words the way other people understand them. Using words the way people don't understand them is not a good method for communication.
Wait, do you think philosophical topics can be expressed through just mere like colloquial language?
Yep, not even hard. In fact, I talked to
So
a
if I
PhD philosopher a couple months ago that did exactly that. We had a 2-hour conversation. He didn't use any of these nonsense words even once. We had a delightful conversation. It turns
Sure, he
out that
probably wasn't talking about
the
Aristotelian
people,
metaphysics.
I'm sure we were actually talking about morals. In fact, his main focus is on moral realism, so you're wrong there. But also, the reality is, if you can't express what you mean in normal people words, it just means that you don't understand it well, or you just want to sound smart by using words you don't understand. That's fine. We see
No,
it a lot.
I literally gave you an example of what nature is from
No, you
Aquinas, from
didn't.
Aristotelian metaphysics, and gave you an example. The example of the acorn that I gave you twice,
Hmm.
that should indicate that I know what this
So
concept is if I'm able to actually
then,
like accurately explain it.
so how something behaves?
No, it's not just mere like statistical tendency.
Then what is it?
It's characterized powers or operations of something. And I
Powers
gave
or
you the example of the
operations?
acorn, which I said there's an ordered,
Okay, I'm gonna
yeah,
give
powers and
you another
operations.
chance. Maybe I haven't been fair enough. Can you give me one coherent definition of nature, and so I can write it down and we can move forward?
Okay, I guess Aristotle isn't coherent, but the nature is a principle of motion and
Principle
rests in
of
that which is
motion?
primarily and essentially.
Did you say a principle
Yeah,
of motion? And then what else?
yeah,
And what else?
which is primarily and essentially.
Is
Which we can just
primary?
easily say something flows from something.
I mean primary and essential. Are we? Is that what
Which
we're
is
agreeing
it
on?
is primarily and essentially.
Oh, it's primarily and essentially. Really?
Yeah.
Do you know that when you add y's on the
Mm-hmm.
end of those words, you need more words after that? It's primarily what?
What? That is not. I thought you said you knew the English language. You
I
think when
I
a Y
do,
is
yeah.
added, then that must mean that there must be another word. Wait, so when
Yeah.
I say I love my family, is there supposed to be another word that comes after that?
That's not because the y's on it. It's because the construction of primary versus primarily are different usages.
That wasn't your point. Your point was it has a Y on it. It should have another word after it.
My point is when you put a y on primary, or primarily is more than just a y, it changes how the word is used. It's not difficult.
It changes how the word is used. In what
Hmm.
manner?
Yeah, because primary is an adjective. Primarily is an adverb. Adverbs get attached to verbs, at least typically. It could be attached to more than just verbs, but it's not an adjective. You can't use primarily as an adjective.
Okay, read the sentence again. Nature is the principle of motion
Hmm.
and rest in that which is primarily and essentially.
Yeah, that's essentially what?
Dog. This is how I know
These
you've never
do
read
you
a
not know what
piece of
adverbs are?
philosophical literature.
I don't need to. Have you ever read like English
You don't
grammar?
need to.
I think you do.
This
Do you know what an adverb is? An adverb
so
modifies
when you
verbs,
open up so when
adjectives,
you open
or
up
entire
any of the
sentences.
works, so any of the comprehensive works of Aristotle, you're going to look at them and you're going to
Well,
say,
I'm just
"Well, I can't
gonna
believe they use
show
primarily and
you
essentially. That's incorrect."
I haven't read it, so they're incorrect if they're doing that. I'll give you the grammar from ChatGPT. What is wrong grammatically with this sentence? Oop, there we go. It's not even a complete sentence. It's a sentence fragment. So, which is what I said. It requires a complement. Primarily and essentially are
I didn't
adverbs. They
say,
don't complete.
my
They don't complete the
goodness.
thought. It says they're adverbs that don't complete the thought, which means you need more after primarily and essentially. These basic words.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's say that even if you're correct, who cares?
But well,
This
I'm
is
trying to
this is
help
the
you.
definition you asked to adhere to, and you're talking about how you don't believe in objective
Well,
definitions as an underpinning. So then, if I'm just using St. Thomas Aquinas' definition,
well,
this is
this
what the
isn't
definition is.
this isn't about definitions. It's about grammar.
I don't give a shit about grammar.
Okay, so I'll just fix
That's
it
not
for you.
going to
We're
be
gonna
relevant to the
do
topic at hand.
primary and essential is the best way to do it. Okay, so when you're saying a principle of motion, which is primary and essential, what do you I don't understand what you mean a principle of motion. Like the principle of motion typically in physics would be like some sort of law that explains the motion. Well, how are you using it?
Yeah, motion. Yeah, so motion here doesn't refer to like acceleration or anything, right? The motion in Aristotelian metaphysics is going to refer to the operations of something happening through its teleological procession. So when we say like a principle of motion here is going to refer to the way in which something acts in accordance to itself or what it flows from.
Okay, so then the new definition is a principle of operations through teleological procession, which is primary and essential.
Yeah, sure. Even though that wasn't a direct definitional explication, that
Well,
was an
that's what you said it
explication
was.
generally.
I'm just literally writing down what you tell me. I don't know why. If this definition's wrong, it's on
Do
you.
you wait, do you think explications are just definitions?
No, but I'm just writing down what you say.
Okay then. So, okay, cool. But you seem to allude that was like the definition of it.
Well,
But yeah,
that's
that's
what you
what a
said it
principle of
means.
motion refers to.
But that's what you said it means. I'm writing down what it
Sure,
means.
in a general explication, yeah, sure.
Okay, so what it means is nature is equal to a principle of operation through teleological procession, which is primary and essential. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, so if for someone who hasn't read Aristotelian metaphysics, I guess this would make sense, right? So as I explain when we talk about like the acorn example, right? It's ordered towards something becoming an oak,
Does God
right?
have
And
operations?
then I explain, does God have operations? In a
I
sense,
thought he
yeah.
was. I thought he was completely actualized. You can't have operations if you're completely actualized.
The operations I'm denoting to are going to be the motions or the thing that flows from itself. So the operations of its
The
actualization without any potency within himself is going to
so
flow from his nature.
God's nature flows. You realize that
The things he does and his
flowing involves
actualization
movement.
flows from his nature,
Movement
yes.
involves changing. God can't flow if he's unchanging.
No, I already explained earlier, if you were paying attention, motion doesn't refer to this like the typical sense of acceleration or
Well,
sequence.
maybe you should give me a better
Or
definition.
sequence and
What do you think
change.
motion means? Okay,
I
you
gave
think
you
it
the
means change.
Aristotelian definition.
Okay,
No,
so you
I said
think
it didn't
motion
mean
means change?
change.
Well, what's it mean?
No, it means the flowing from something in
How do
Aristotelian
you
metaphysics.
how do you flow without changing? A flow means you go from point A to point B. That's what flow means.
No, flow just means that things are going to be in accordance to itself, right? So when we say something flows from what it is, we say like an acorn has something according to itself that it does,
Okay,
right?
so the
And one of
word
these things are going to
flow
be in order
means to
towards something.
move in a steady, continuous stream, but you think it means something else now. So you think it means what?
I hope there's no Catholics watching this because they're probably like bleeding
They'd
from their
probably be
ears listening to
like
you butcher your
rolling
class.
around on the floor, wishing you would like be coherent, is what I would think.
It's perfectly coherent.
Sure. So where does the definition of motion need to go into this sentence? A principle of operation through teleological process, which is primary and essential. Where does the definition of motion need to be plugged in?
So now we need a definition of motion.
You
I'm
said
just curious. Are we
that
ever going to get to
nature
the substance of the actual
that
moral debate, or is
you
this
said
what you
that
typically do
the
in your lives? Is
you
just
said that
meander over
the
definitional
definition of
semantic
nature
reductions?
includes the word motion. I'm trying to put it in there for you. So where does the definition of motion need to be in this definition of nature?
The definition of motion here.
Yeah.
I already explained that. I literally
Yeah,
gave an explanation of what
I'm
what the
asking you to give
principle
it
of
again
motion
so I can
is.
write it down. Yeah, give me an explanation so I can write it down.
From Aristotle, it's just going to be the actuality of what exists potentially.
So God has potentiality?
No.
Okay, but you said that the definition of nature is a principle of operations through the actuality of what exists potentially teleological procession, which is primary and essential, but God is fully actualized. He can't have potential.
I didn't say he had potential.
Then how does he actualize his potentiality?
What are you talking about?
Okay, your definition was actualization of what exists potentially. God has no potential.
Yeah. He doesn't have potency now.
Right, so that means he doesn't have potential. It's fun when Phil Bros say God has no potency. That just means he's impotent. I love it. But your definition now of nature is
That's
a
not what the.
principle
Oh my goodness, you are
of
philosophically inept.
operations through the actuality of what exists, potentially teleological procession, which is primarily essential, or primary and essential. Is that your definition?
I'm. So there's still a question that hasn't been answered. Is this an internal or external critique, by the way?
Neither. I'm just writing down definitions. Still waiting for you to agree or disagree on this
Okay. I
definition.
I'm finding it bored by just constantly going through the last 20 minutes of just doing definitions. Would you like to get to the
I mean,
substance?
maybe if you would give a coherent definition, we can move forward.
So, okay, so if I give you definitions that just aren't going to pertain to the actual sort of philosophy that I'm
See,
using,
the
therefore
reason
I
why
can't
this is
actually have a
happening is
conducive
because
conversation with
I
you.
know when you say that morals flow from God's nature, you have no fucking clue what nature means. And I'm demonstrating it right now. You spent 20 minutes trying to define nature. You have no fucking idea what it means. This is embarrassing for
I
you.
think I
You're the
do.
one that studied philosophy. You should be able to define it.
You literally said you had no understanding of Aristotelian metaphysics and you never read
Don't
it.
need to.
Yet you're
That,
claiming that my
give
understanding
me
of the nature.
give
Okay,
me
yeah,
give
go
me a
ahead and give the
definition
argument that you
that's
don't need
coherent.
to.
Give me a definition that's
Why
coherent.
don't you need to? Why don't you need to read Aristotelian metaphysics in order to understand the concepts?
Because it's your definition. I just need your definition.
I gave you the definition. I answered the
Okay,
question.
so
Why don't you need to
that
read the source material in order to
so
understand the
so
source?
then it wouldn't be difficult then. Just give me a yes or no. Is this a coherent definition? A principle of
And
operations
it's
through the actuality of what exists, potentially teleological procession, which is primary and essential. Is that your definition?
Can you answer my question? Is this gonna again? This seems
I'm
like
just waiting for you
just
to tell
like
me
gibbering and meandering.
if this is the definition. Is
I,
this what
I don't
God's
know. I
is
don't know
this
how your
what the
fans find this
objective morals
interesting.
come out of? The objective morals proceed out of God's principle of
Hmm.
operation through the actuality of what exists potentially teleological procession, which is primary and essential. That's what objective morals come from.
Goodness is what flows from his nature, and I already explained the principle of
Well, we're trying
motion.
to figure out what nature
When I say
means
goodness,
first. That we have to define nature. Until you can define nature, you can't tell me that something flows out of it.
yeah, but the
If I
issue
said,
is no matter
listen,
how many times that we
my
keep going around
opinions
this
flow out of
rigmarole of
my
defining the nature,
smorgasbord.
you just keep saying it's incorrect.
If I told you my opinions, it stem from my bippity boop. What the fuck is a bippity boop? This is what we're trying to do right now. You're saying morals
Yeah.
flow from God's nature, but you can't define what God's nature is, which means it's an incoherent thing to say.
No, it's only incoherent insofar as you have a specific underpinning that you're not actually leading from. This is why
Well,
atheists cannot
well, then
at
I'm
all
just waiting
engage with
for you
any of the
to agree
philosophers on
if
this.
this is actually your definition. It shouldn't be hard. Is this your definition or not?
I said yes, the definition as it pertains to the
Gotcha.
Aristotelian definition.
There we go. Okay, so chat, just so we're clear finally on the definition of nature. The nature in which morals flow from is a principle of operations through the actuality of what exists potentially teleological procession, which is primary and essential. That you agree to that?
Do I agree with that definition you gave? I don't think it's the accurate understanding of how I explain the
Well, that's
Aristotelian
what you
metaphysics.
said.
No.
Well, then re-explain it for me.
Dude, I don't know how many times I need to re-explain it. It seems like this is what I'm
Seems
getting.
like you're
It
struggling
seems
with
like
basic
you have
English.
this. I don't know why you're interrupting me. Anyway, it seems like what this is you have this sort of understanding of what nature is, and you're unwilling to have a conversation about what it is beyond what your quote unquote definition in the dictionary sense is.
I'm asking for your definition, not mine.
And you made that very clear earlier.
I'm just asking for yours. I'm waiting for something that's coherent. So you think a nature, like the nature of my nature, is a principle of operation. What do you think operation means? You know, operation is like either a noun or a verb typically, right? What do you think a principle of operations even is?
A principle of operations. I said it's the principle of motion.
Oh, so you want motion back in here. I asked you where you wanted motion to be plugged in, and you said you didn't need it. Okay, so now we're going to say a principle of
Oh my
motion.
gosh.
And that's why I asked you previously, what's your definition of motion? Because I know typically in philosophy, the definition of motion is more akin to change. At least that's how it's usually used. How do you use it?
How do I use the principle of motion as
Hmm.
explained by Thomas Aquinas in the Aristotelian metaphysics, as I explained?
Listen, you can say Aristotelian metaphysics all you want. I just need you to tell me what you think motion means.
Dude, I already told you what I think motion means.
Well, maybe tell me
It's not what
again
I think, it's what's
since I didn't write it
derived from
down.
Aquinas.
Well, tell me what it is.
Tell you what it is again.
Yeah, because I didn't write it down because you said I didn't need to. So now that you say I need to, I'm going to write it down. What is it?
What, for principle of motion or nature?
A principle of motion is part of the definition of nature. I'm asking you for the definition of motion.
Yeah, I said there's a technical meaning in which Aristotle would describe it as the motion of actuality as exists potentially insofar as it has potential. Obviously,
Okay,
the
so
principle of motion as
we can
Aquinas uses it is going to be in a different sense.
we can just actually not use the word motion. We can say a principle of the actuality of what exists potentially. That's what you meant to say.
Insofar as it has potential.
Does God have potential?
No.
So can this refer to God's nature?
No, it's not being utilized as a rigid designator. That's why I said Aquinas has distinctions. There's qualifications on it.
Does God's nature include this part, the exists potentially?
No.
Gotcha. So for God's nature, because that's what we're talking about, we would say a principle of actuality. That's it, right? A principle of actuality, what? Of teleological procession, which is primary and essential?
Sure.
Okay, I think we might be getting somewhere
The way
now.
that Aquinas qualifies on this obviously is going to be that there's an immutable sense of God, right? So that it's just going to be actus purus. So.
Sure. All right, so when you say teleological procession, that's a fancy combination of words.
Mhm.
What does that mean?
Teleological procession means something to its proper means.
Ah, means or purpose?
What?
Means or purpose? 'Cause means is typically a path. Purpose is like a goal. Did you want to use
Yeah, sure.
means or purpose?
Use means.
Okay. So we would say nature is now a principle of the actuality of means, which is primary and essential. We agree on that?
Sure.
Sure. So we're getting closer. This definition is getting much shorter and with normal people words. What do you think actuality is doing in this sentence? Because actuality for me just means that it's well, it doesn't have potential typically. It exists without potential or without change. Like, how are you using it?
The actuality of something.
I'm asking you, yeah.
The
When you say
actuality.
a principle of the actuality, what does that mean?
I didn't say principle of actuality.
Well, then tell me what you did say. The principle of what?
Dude, what? I didn't say the principle of anything within the definition.
You sure did.
Motion.
Yeah, you certainly did. It's all recorded. We all heard you.
No, when you asked me to do, yeah, I know it's also recorded on my end. The motion that I explained is the actuality of something existing potentially, insofar as it has potential. I never claimed that the word principle is in there.
And you did say that the word principle belongs in this sentence. Because you said principle is equal to explanatory ground, and explanatory ground means something that can be expressed through something, and at one point that was the beginning of the sentence, and you agreed twice that that belongs in the sentence. Now you're saying principle doesn't belong in the sentence. I can take it out if you need.
You can. I mean, I think that was kind of the goal. Was you were just going to go through the infinite semantic reduction.
I'm just waiting for you to give me a proper definition we can agree on. So do you want principle in there or not?
No, for motion, no. Why would I do that? I already
No,
explained principle of motion. Then you asked a definition of motion. I gave you a definition of motion. And then now
gotcha.
you're
So
trying to very erroneously put in, well, then that must mean it has to have principle. No, it
sure.
takes someone with
No,
two
I
brain cells to
never
rub
said that.
together and have any notion of philosophical literature to
I actually
understand
didn't.
that we wouldn't just.
I didn't use the word or invoke the word principle once you did that. So then your definition now is the actuality
What?
of means by which is primary and essential.
Yeah, sure. Now you want a definition of actuality or something?
Well, I already asked you for that. Yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, realize a determined state.
Okay, so actuality is a determined state. That's what you mean?
Realized or determined state of thing.
Oh, realized or determined. Gotcha. Okay, so we would say realized or determined state. Right. Okay. So I think we probably need a comment here. Maybe it says the realized or determined state of means which is primary and essential. Is that where we're at so far?
Sure. By the way, do you know how, like, so for semantics, when you break down definitions, by the way, you can't supplement the definition within the word within a sentence.
If that's the meaning
That's
that you
usually not how that
imply
goes.
by the word, then you can, yeah.
And no, compound
These aren't
structures within the
these aren't definitions, these are
language doesn't
meanings.
actually.
Right. If
You asked
if
for
your definition
definitions.
of
Meanings can go
nature,
beyond that because it can be
if
contextualized.
your definition of nature means something, I'm writing down that meaning in your definition. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah,
So when
definitions
you
are going to be
say
contextualized, whether they're
when you
within
say
a structure of
actuality,
a sentence.
when you say actuality, you mean realized or determined state. That's what you mean. So that's what I wrote.
Actuality is a realized or determined state, yeah.
Okay, so then our definition right now is the realized, meaning it doesn't have any potential, or determined, meaning what, it couldn't be any different, state of means, which is primary and essential.
No, something can be actus and have potential. This is like, again, Aristotelian metaphysics
Does
101.
God have potential?
No, he's actus purus.
Gotcha. So we're talking about God's nature. So
That's
we'll
a
try to keep it
qualifier.
simple and just refer to God's nature. So would this count as a definition of God's nature, the realized or determined state of means, or do we need to adjust it?
So now you want a definition as it pertains strictly to God.
Well, if your definition of nature only applies to somebody that's not God, then we're barking up the wrong tree. Remember, we're talking about what comes from God's nature.
Yeah, I'm just giving you the definitions within the actual Aristotelian sense, right? If you want to talk about like analogia intis, that's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. So again, I just need a yes or no. Is this the definition we're going with? The realized or determined state of means, which is primary and essential?
Well, if you change the context of the definition here as it's applying to God, then no, that's why I brought up the analogia intis.
Well, then how do I adjust
Which
this
means
so that it can
analogy.
apply to
It
God?
means analogy of being. It means that gods and creatures can't like be univocally or equivocated with one another when speaking on terms.
So which word needs changed here?
I'm not saying they need change. I'm saying like if you're using them strictly within an equivocation, it's not going to work.
I'm just asking which phrase or word in here needs to be adjusted so it would apply to God? Because you're saying
I think
right now
when
it
you
doesn't.
hear me, you must hear like one of the Peanuts like adult characters talking. I don't think it's
No.
registering in your mind. what's
I'm
being
actually, I'm
said.
literally writing down your words. I hear every word you're saying, which is why I'm writing them down. See how that works? So what I'm asking you is, you're saying the way this definition is formed, it cannot be applied to God, which is weird because you gave it to me. So now I'm just asking, okay, if it can't be applied to God,
No,
what
I'm
can we do
saying-
to adjust it so that it can be applied to God?
I've never even said that. This is why you guys
I
got
want
to
you to do
do
it.
a little better. When I said and I brought up the analogia intis, I'm saying it can't be related through pure univocality or equivocation. Right? So you
I'm
can
not-
use the definition, but I'm saying it can't be used in the strict sense to be univocal.
Now, do you even know what univocal means? Listen, nothing in this definition has anything to do with
It means apply.
univocality.
It means going to be applied. It's going to apply universally over all things or concepts.
That would just be universally. Univocality means that you have got a text or an audio or something made of many parts that is speaking with one voice rather than many voices. That's what univocality means. That's the word vocal is fucking in it.
Dude, if you're like a single biblical scholar, even Bart Ehrman will talk about univocality. Goodness gracious, bro.
Actually, I know because I actually went to school and got a master's degree in biblical studies. Yay, that's why I know about it. And Bart Ehrman agrees
Yeah,
with
and
me.
then Bart Ehrman talks about univocality. He's talking about terms
Yeah.
that are being used.
Univocality is literally the definition. It says the quality of having one single clear meaning or speaking with one unified voice. Oh, wow, it's my definition, not yours. How about that?
So it's almost like that's exactly what I said when I was referring to the
Not remotely
definitional
what you said.
applications.
Nope. So we'll try
So wait,
again.
so when I
Which
said
word
when I
in the
uttered
sentence
the
needs to
statement,
be adjusted so that it can be applied to God? That's all I need.
we should probably address your blunder. So when I
It's
talk about the
not a
statement
blunder.
of
I
the
gave you the proper
definition, and I'm saying
definition,
it can't be
and
used purely
now that I
univocally,
gave you a proper definition, you'd say,
so
"Oh, well,
that
actually,
so
that's
that
what I said
means
first time."
so that means the meanings of the terms that I'm used can't be applied in the same way over all concepts, right? Which means this applies to God. So yes, the way that I use purely univocal is correct.
It's not correct. So what we're trying to figure out here is what in this sentence needs
Saying
adjusted
it's
so
not
that we
correct doesn't mean
can apply it
you're
to
loud
God.
and wrong.
Well, the definition in the dictionary just tells you that you're incorrect. You don't need
I
me to
said
tell
it
you
can.
that.
I said it can apply to God as long as we talk about it within the analogy of being, which is the analogia entis, right? I'm saying to keep that in mind because
The
it
more
seems like you're talking about it in a strict sense.
more big words sound smart. Me sound smart. We're still waiting for you to organize these words in your definition so that we can apply it to God.
That rhetoric is horrible.
Your rhetoric is really bad. I hope you don't post this. This is not going to look good for you.
Usually people who know who I am know that like they probably understand some of these concepts.
I've
And
never
a
even
lot of
heard
my
of you.
Catholic friends are probably going to think this is hilarious.
This is hilarious.
I don't care if
This
you
is
hear me.
truly
Zero.
hilarious.
Yeah, they're going to hear you say, I don't need to read Aristotle to know like the concepts of
I didn't say I
Aristotle.
need to
and they're
know
gonna think,
Aristotle.
This
I just need
said I don't
you
need
to
to read
use
them.
words in the English language coherently. So again, I don't know why I have to ask you 10 times.
These are words
What
that
in
use the
this
English language
sentence
coherently.
needs to
Defining
be
coherently means that it's
adjusted?
capable of being reasoned
Which
with.
words in this sentence need to be adjusted so that we can apply it to God? That's all I need to know.
No, they don't need to be adjusted. The application isn't based on the literal semantics themselves. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so this
That's
is a
like
coherent
that's
definition.
how
then.
language works, by the way.
Gotcha. So this is
It
a
can be a
definition that
coherent
we can apply to
definition of the
God. I'm just
application.
waiting. This is or not a definition for God's nature?
In an analogical sense, yeah, we can apply it to God.
In an analogical sense? You mean kind of maybe?
Yeah, the same way. No, the principle
Buddy, you should go back to playing with
again of
puppets.
analogia entis. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Anyways, the analogy of being or speaking of something analogically is just going to be talking about something without using
Okay.
some rigid
So-
designator or in the strict sense.
So this definition is an analogy for what God's nature is.
Oh, I said analogy of being.
This is an
It just means
analogy
that
of being
you're not-
for God's what? This is an analogy of what? You know, analogies have a target. They map onto something.
Yeah, the analogy. Well, I'm not saying like analogy. I'm saying analogically speaking of something. That's what analogia entis is. The analogy of being is speaking of something analogically, which is that
Yeah,
we
I
don't
know.
use like the strict sense of things to explain something because there's going to be categorical distinctions between God
Right.
and creature.
So this is an analogy. It's analogical to God's nature.
Yeah, so we can use the principle of motion analogically. So when we talk about the flowing of something from something else, right, we don't have to apply it to God in the strict sense in which
So-
we apply it to creatures because there's
so
going to be
then-
categorical metaphysical
So then how
distinctions.
do we apply it? Because when you do an analogy,
I
everything
just
in the
told you
analogy
analogically.
maps onto a target. And saying analogically doesn't mean anything, right? An analogy has a starting point
Yes, it
and a
does.
finishing point, and the objects map on. They don't just map on analogically. You have to actually know what they map onto. Point A goes to point over here. Point B goes to point B over here. What's it mapping to? When you say that this is analogically characteristic of God's nature, which word in here is being mapped to what?
What do you mean? It's being mapped to the concept of God.
Yeah, I'm saying which word goes to what. Because now you're saying this
I
isn't
just
a
said
definition
the
of God's
concept in of
nature.
itself.
This is basically an analogical definition of God's nature, which doesn't help me because I actually need to know the definition of God's nature, not the
My
analogy
goodness,
that
dude.
you can't tell me maps onto anything.
The tracking is horrendous. No, I
I
never said
agree.
this is an
Yes, you're like
analogical
way out of your
definition.
depth here. You should have went to
I
grammar school.
Sure, no, I can perfectly recollect what I said. I said that this definition can be correct insofar as if you want to apply these words as they are, but they have to be analogically applied because there's a categorical metaphysical distinction between God and creatures, which is why I said we can use these words, but they're not going to be purely univocally applied to God. Aquinas distinguishes and clarifies this. He gives qualifications for what
Mhm.
motion is when it talks about God and creatures.
What do you think
That's why
an
we say
analogy
there's a
is? 'Cause
nature
I
of
don't think you know
being.
that word either.
What do I think an analogy is? I'm
Yeah, because an
talking about when
analogy
you
is usually
speak
a comparison
analogically of something,
between
it means
two different things.
I said analogically. Analogy of being is just what the word
Yeah,
analogia intus means.
the analogically is an adverb. It refers to an analogy. It's an adverb based on the word analogy. It's from the same root. Analogically
Yeah,
means you're making a
analogically speaking
comparison
of
between two
something,
things.
that's not how it's strictly used. And
Well,
when we
then you
talk
better
about
give
things
me a
like when I
better
talk about
definition.
the analog, my goodness, dude, is this just gonna be you looking into a thesaurus saying this
It's
doesn't map onto
it's
this
literally
page
it's literally just
24 of
me
this thesaurus,
getting.
therefore I
Listen,
can't take
I'm
a
helping
definition.
you. I'm helping you get your words out. You're using words that are completely different than what the dictionary says, which means I have to write them down. Because if they're different from the dictionary, none of us knows what the fuck you're talking about. So what's your definition of analogically now?
My goodness, dude.
This is your
When are we
brain
gonna get to the
on
substance?
Aristotle. This is the substance.
This
The
is your
substance
brain
of
on when
philosophy
you actually
is
read
fucking
books throughout the day.
semantics. Yeah, I have a whole bookshelf behind me. I've got many more in the
Wait,
attic
my
because
philosophy
I
is
actually went
semantics.
to
You're the one
I
who
went
brought
to
up semantic
I went to
reduction.
school. No, you did.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
There you go. Your
This
memory's
is
not good.
recorded.
So what
This
you,
is
I know,
recorded, dude.
and trust me, a lot of people are
Wait,
going to
so
see it, and
so
I'm
wait,
excited
so
about
when
that.
you
Not
so when
only
you
not only are a lot of people going to see it, I'm going to clip this in a couple months, and even more people are going to see it. And man, it's going to be a
nice. So
banger.
then you're gonna
I
clip.
can't
So you're
wait.
gonna clip the part. You're gonna clip the part where you
Mhm.
say, "Hey, define this for me. Define X.
Yeah.
Define
Yes.
Y.
Yep.
Define
Yep.
C." Yeah,
And
that's
it's going to
called
demonstrate that you've got nothing but
appealing to
word
semantic
salad,
reduction.
and you don't even know what they mean. You don't even know what any of these words mean. You read them in a book. You don't even know
No.
how to apply them properly, and you think using fancy words is just going to get you through an
Do
argument.
you think?
But they don't
Do you
actually
think
do
an
that, which is why when I
application
ask
isn't
you to give me a
so an
definition of
application is going to be
analogically, you
perfect
actually can't
explication
do
of
it.
something?
I can give you a definition
So
of
I was able.
analogically. Can
I
you
was
give me a
able. I
definition
was
of
able to
analogically?
explain.
Are you capable of
I
giving me
was
a
able to
definition of the word that
explain.
you're
I was
using
able to
different from the
explain.
actual dictionary?
Yeah,
Can you
I
give me a
can. I can keep
definition?
talking too.
I can
So
keep
when I
talking
was talking
too.
about
Actually,
explication
not only can
of
I keep
something,
talking,
of the
I can make sure that
concept,
I'm talking louder than you. No one can hear you when you talk over me, by the way. You
that's
have to know that my mic's louder
that's
than
fine.
yours. Like that's not even, you shouldn't even
That
wonder about that.
that
In fact, I can even
that's
turn it up
fine.
louder. Look,
A
now it's like way louder
a
than yours.
character of a
It's gonna fucking
person,
blow everyone's ears out.
a character
Like
of a
no one can
person
hear
speaks
anything you're
volumes of the
saying
substance being
when
talked
you
about.
talk while I'm talking. I don't know why you keep doing it. It's the weirdest thing. So the thing here is I'm waiting
This
for
is
a
a perfect
definition of
representation of
analogically because
atheists.
you used the word analogically in a way that's not in the dictionary. So I need to know what it means when you use it.
Are we doing more semantic reductions, or
I'm just waiting for a definition.
yeah, that's what semantic reductions are.
I'm waiting
Genius.
for a
Now, when
definition.
you keep asking me for a definition of something,
Well,
that's why I keep asking
a
you. Is
semantic
this going to be
reduction isn't
constant?
the
You
same
asking
thing
for
as
a
giving a
definition. This isn't
definition,
conducive.
to be sure.
Semantic reduction. You're just reducing the words that I use in some way by asking
No, I'm
me, can you
just
define
waiting
that?
for a
You're
definition.
reducing the semantics to a specific meaning, and then
I
you're going
just
to
need
ask
to
about
know
the
what
words
you
within the
mean when you say
definition.
analogically.
And then
That's
you're
all I
going to
need to
ask
know.
about the words in that
That's all I
definition.
need to know is what you mean by
I
analogically.
explained what I talked about analogically. I
You
literally
actually didn't.
what
So
I actually
then you should be able,
explained what
good. Then you've got experience. You
analogia
should be able to do it
intus
again.
is.
So give me the definition.
Yeah, when I was explaining the principle of analogia into the analogy of being, it just means that you can use terms that aren't purely univocal or equivocal to something, right? So when we talk about like being, goodness, wisdom, and power, we're just saying that like those can't be used in the same categorical sense as we apply to God as we do creatures.
Sure.
That's
So
what that
your
that's what that
definition
means.
of analogically are terms that are not univocal or
Oh
equivocal.
my days, dude.
All I'm asking you is for your definition. That's all I need. I tell you what, I'm because like you're struggling with basic words. I'm just gonna. Here's what we need to do. I feel like maybe the problem is you're flustered because I'm talking while you're talking, and you're confusing your words. So what I'll do, I'm gonna give you a straight minute. Just take 5 seconds to think. Don't just rush to speak. Take 10 seconds to think and give me one coherent definition of nature. I'll write it down and we can fucking move forward.
Dude, I gave you the
Oh, oh no, he fell away. He's off the screen now. Well, that's what happens when you waste your time on junk degrees, friends. You don't know how to use words. So, what are you going to do? It was fun, at least. I'll say that uh, for one of us. So, you know. Uh, Friends, thank you for being here. I've got some super chats to read, and then I'm going to get the next guest in here. That was fun. I usually don't enjoy a word salad, but I do like to troll people who think word salad is meaningful. How's 70? Good to see you, friend. Says Phil Bros agreeing to use words as most people use them would be a huge breakthrough. Wouldn't it be great if they were just like, hey, these words, like the way they're defined in everyday conversation, typically mean X, Y, and Z. So how about we just agree that we would use them to mean X, Y, and Z? That would be a really easy thing to. Or if those aren't the words that you're interested in using, you know what? Use a different word. That wouldn't be hard. Just use a word that actually expresses what you do mean. That'd be fun. Randy Wilson, my friend, thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chat. If I take LSD, I am totally sure I will understand the whatness guy. Listen, I don't even think the whatness guy understands. And the funny thing is, all of this was going to reduce down to one of two things. He has a definition of God's nature, which either disagrees with something he believes about God, or it's going to wrap around and mean exactly what the dictionary says. In fact, you can look it up in the Catholic dictionary too. Hold on. Catholic dictionary definition of nature. Let's see. Nature is the essence of being, considered as the inner principle of its specific operation and activities. It answers what a thing is and how it acts. Those are called properties and characteristics. That's what I said. It describes the properties and characteristics of a thing, how it acts and how it behaves, which is funny because God doesn't act and he doesn't have behavior and he doesn't have properties according to Catholics. The contradictions are pretty wild. William Rogers. Hey, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Question, do female Philbros exist? They do, and I very rarely see them, but I have seen them. I will say this. Usually, not always, but usually they're more pleasant. That's just been my experience. Ontological shock. Thank you for the super chat, friend. Says, like grammar is rooted to language, it seems morality must be rooted to beings that can experience joy, pain, and interact with each other. If no God, that's still true. Hence, no God needed to ground it. It's an interesting point. Well, I think it depends on what you mean by morality. Like, obviously, I believe in subjective morals. I don't really think there's a good reason to believe in objective morals, but I'm not a Platonist. If somebody could convince me of Platonism, I might be on that board. I might be a moral realist. Base Assure says, my arguments only work if you ignore definitions. I know, isn't that wild? All you need to do is ask them, what the fuck do you think that word means? And they fall apart. They have no idea what any of these words mean. They read it in a book and they just regurgitate them. Mike, thank you for the $20 super chat, friend. And beautiful kitty. These motherfuckers who majored in poverty. These motherfuckers who majored in poverty think they're so goddamn smart. Where was their intellect when choosing a degree? I don't think they have any friends to peddle this bullshit to, and that's why they call it true. No one's listening to this shit at the dinner table. That's for sure. Nobody at Thanksgiving dinner is like, tell me more about Aristotelian metaphysics. Tell me more about words that are used completely different than how we use them in the English language. Quantum Answer, thank you for the super chat, says Aristotle meant by nature that unlike non-living things that change only through external forces, natural things have inner drive to change, develop, move, or fulfill something which non-living, non-natural beings don't have. The guest could have said that. That's actually coherent, by the way. That's a perfectly coherent sentence. Shishi says, Justin, can you explain 1 John 4:8? Was it anyone who sins or anyone who makes it a practice to sin? In the original language, different translations say different things. 1 John 4:8 is right after the woman in the well, but I don't remember the exact quote. Give me a second. Oh, 1 John, I'm sorry. John 4 is the woman at the well. 1 John 4:8 is going to be different. Sorry. 1 John 4:8. Let's see. Whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love. Interesting. And your question is, did you mean 4:8? It says, because you said anyone who sins or who makes it a practice. I think you're in the right verse area. Is it 3:8? Give me a second. Everyone who commits sin is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The Son of God was revealed for this purpose, to destroy the works of the devil. I think you mean 1 John 3:8, where it says anyone who sins. Is that what you're referring to? I assume that's what you're referring to. All right, so let me grab that real quick. I apologize. Give me just a second. I'll pull it up in the Greek text and see if it does anything different for us. All right, 1 John 3:8. Let's see what we've got going on here. So the word we got here for sin is going to be, amartein. And the definition is, at least according to Thayer's, is going to be, interesting. To miss the mark, to err, to be mistaken, to miss or wander from the path of uprightness and honor, or to go wrong and wander from the law of God, violates God's law, so on and so forth. So he's just saying, if you do wrong, right? If you do wrong, X, Y, and Z is what the verse is saying. So with that in mind, let me try to figure out what your question is asking. Justin, can you explain 1 John 4:8 or 3:8? Was it anyone who sins or who makes it a practice to sin in the original language? Is the word anyone in question? So typically, anyone is not a word that usually shows up in Greek or Hebrew. Typically, they'll use one who, like not the one or anyone. We translate it as anyone. So it just says one who or one practices, so on and so forth. So in the Greek, it's actually just like a definite article on the verb practicing, right? So poien. So it'd just be the one practicing, or the best way would be the one practicing. We translate that as anyone. And that's a fair translation. So I would go with that. Herman, hey, thank you for the super chat, my friend. It says, I have a degree in physics and math, and 30 minutes into this convo with the Lamb, I am completely lost. His conversation is the example we should use to show Phil Bros make no goddamn sense. Yes, if you want a poster child for why word salad doesn't win arguments, I think he's going to be the poster board. That's the guy you want to show. This is the warning not to do. All right, I got 2 more super chats. Bender, my friend, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Justin, I saw the Genesis commentary by Klaus Westermann on your shelf behind you. Is that still a good in-depth study, or is there something better you can recommend? Well, first of all, Kenneth Matthews, he's conservative. He's more conservative than I would like, but he's got a great 2-part commentary on Genesis. That's good. It's really well accepted. That's part of the new American commentary set. The 3-volume series by Klaus Westermann, honestly, is still it's one of the best. It just is one of the best. Now, John Walton writes a lot on Genesis. Listen, if it was me, I would get John Walton's work on Genesis as well. There's no reason not to have it. But between Kenneth Matthews, John Walton, and Klaus Westermann, you got a lot of material to go through. My favorite is still Klaus Westermann. The problem is, these commentaries were finished a long time ago, and we've got some new information and data since then. So it would do good to read something updated like Kenneth Matthews. And there are more scholars. My Hebrew Old Testament scholar wrote a bit on. He did a lot of work in the Torah. Uh, like if you get the Zondervan Illustrated Bible background, you'll find Genesis is done by John Walton there. It's a really good volume. So I would just look for those three for now. Do Klaus Westerman, Kenneth Matthews, and John Walton. There's a lot of other good commentaries out there, but honestly, that's a lot of material to get through. If you get through that material, coming back, we'll talk about some alternatives. Also, Martin, thank you for the $20 super chat. Why do these Philbro incels always think they are the smartest ones in the conversation when they show they're nothing but vapid? Agreed, right? This is the same thing. Like when you go to like theology school, like you go to seminary, they literally warn you when you take your homiletics class. Don't use fucking big theological words in your sermons. No one gives a fuck. Nobody knows what any of those things mean. All you're doing is wasting your time just pretending like you're smart. Just speak normally and you'll communicate the message. Last Gretchen super chat. Sorry, I had to pull up Gretchen because Gretchen, I agree, is really mad at me now. Jay, this Fildo lamb is just jargon maxing. Oh fuck. That's exactly what he's doing. He's jargon maxing. I should have used that. I'm sad that I didn't, but now I know. You should compare his BS to the original Greek. I bet Aristotle wasn't this long-winded. This is so painful. Yeah, it's true. Very painful, actually. But you're right. I doubt Aristotle was this sad at communicating what he meant. Now, next in line was our YouTube guest Juan, it looks like, and then after that, I think it's J Bum the janitor. I could be wrong, but I think that's the order they came in at. Let's get Juan. Welcome in, Juan. Are you at least 18? Juan. Juan.
Es que me
Are,
está sirviendo la tableta
are you
como
with us,
todo,
Juan?
entonces solo toca poner aquí esto
Juan.
y puedo
Hello?
pasar a
Oh, Juan
pintar.
is not with us. Okay. Sorry, Juan. Got to move on. Hate to do it, but don't really have much of a choice. Our YouTube queue is now suddenly empty. We had two guests in there. Juan wasn't a real guest, and the guest dropped at the same time Juan dropped for some reason. So we're on to J Bum the janitor. Interesting name. Welcome in, J Bum.
Good evening.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, good. I'm tired.
Yeah, I understand that. J Bum, are you a Christian?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, and do you believe that Christianity provides you with a set of objective morals?
It's a good question. By the way, I want to preface, I'm not going to be an ass like the last guy and waste your time.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I don't think I'm smarter than you in any regard. Let's just get that out of the way.
I mean, the reality is he probably is smart. He just made a poor decision by not actually communicating effectively. So what are
Well,
you
I
gonna
mean,
do?
you just got to admit when you're wrong, right?
Yeah, it's true. So
So your
you're
question, do
you're
I
a
believe
Christian.
that?
Hmm.
Yes, yes. I'm definitely kind of I definitely believe in my own kind of weird shit. I don't go to church or anything. Uh, do I believe it provides an objective morality? Hmm. I don't know. Part of me wants to say yes. A little part of me wants to say no. Let's go with yes.
Okay, and by objective morals, what do you think that is? Because my definition of objective morals just means that it exists independent of a mind, and from what I can tell from the Bible, the morals came from God's mind.
Hmm. I guess then, do we consider? Hmm. I guess that kind of depends on what regard you hold God, right?
Sure. Can
If
you
he is
elaborate?
I mean, let's say God is perfect, right? Or he is the maybe the pinnacle of everything that is good, then yeah, I would. Well, I don't know. I'm getting myself tripped up here.
Take your time.
You know what? Let's go with no. Let's go with no.
Okay.
I don't believe it's objective.
Awesome. That's actually the right answer, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just admitting the obvious. So, okay, the next question then I would ask is, we agree now. You and I both have subjective morals. The next thing I would want to ask is, your morals are subject to God's mind. My morals are subject to my mind, right?
Hmm.
What would be a compelling reason to follow God's subjective morals as opposed to mine?
Mm, the way I view it, what I believe personally is I think it gives you a good framework to work off of, right? And what I've always said to myself anyway is I believe it to be true. If it's not true and there's nothing at the end of this life, then at least it helped me live a better life. Does that make sense? Does that kind of answer your question?
I think it does. Okay, so you would say it helps you to live a better life. What if it caused other people to have a worse life?
Mm, what do you mean? What if? Like, what would I feel? What does that make though? Can you elaborate just a little bit? I'm sorry.
So I think you're suggesting that when you follow God's morals, there's like improvements. Like your life improves. Maybe the people, their lives around you improve.
Mm-hmm.
But what about people who follow God's morals and things get worse?
Mm. It's a fair question. I don't know. I don't know.
So I'm thinking like inquisitions, the early church forcefully baptizing Jews and forcing them into ghettos, because the Jews were
Right.
evil for killing Christ.
Maybe this will answer. I don't believe those people were. I don't believe those people were good people, and I don't believe those people can honestly call themselves Christians.
Fair enough. So, what if, all right, we go
Hmm.
into the Bible and look at some of these prescriptions, and maybe you can tell me if these prescriptions would lead to something better in someone's life or something worse in someone's life.
Okay, sure. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay. I'm somewhat familiar with the laws in the Bible. I got to study the Old Testament pretty extensively. There's a couple
Which is
laws that,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, listen, I don't regret it. It was a good time for me. But
I'm
some
very
that took,
interested in this stuff. I just can't make the time to ever read it.
well, in order to read it, you have to know like history, geography. You have to know a bunch of names. It's a
It's
pretty
such an
daunting task.
I mean, you have your master's in it, right? It's such an in-depth topic. It's one you never
Yeah.
really stop studying.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. Okay, so I haven't done this passage in a while, so we'll
Yeah.
we'll pop we'll pop it up. It's not a bad starting point. You probably, and it's a familiar passage. You might already know this one.
Yeah.
Let me put it on the
Yeah.
board. I apologize. I didn't have the verse on the board yet. Let me
All
grab it.
good, all good.
Okay, and then let me resize it real quick so y'all can actually read it. Cool. This is a command given to Saul. Now, you might think that I'm going to read this passage and we're actually going to dissect this exact passage. I actually don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my goal. This is actually a starting point for
Okay.
what I wanted to say. So,
Okay.
this is a command given to King Saul by his prophet Samuel, and the command is in verse 3. It says, "Now go and attack Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have. Do not spare them, but kill both man, woman, and child, and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey." Now, you might say, I know, right? You might say that's pretty fucking rough.
Oh
But
yeah. Oh yeah.
my point isn't that this specific command is the problem. I mean,
Right.
it is a problem,
Okay.
right? But the
Yeah, for
reason
sure. For sure.
the reason why I'm connecting this with God's laws is because there's a familiar phrase in here. The word utterly destroy in Hebrew is typically harem, and it literally, it kind of means something better. Well, it means more than utterly destroy. It means to literally murder an entire people group. It's a genocide for God. We have got pretty good
Okay.
archaeological data helping us understand what this word actually means, and it shows up in the Bible being used in the same way. So in Leviticus 27, I'm sorry, is it 27 or 17? Let me see. 27, I think it's 28 through 29, I think.
I couldn't tell you. You're the expert.
So it says, nothing that a person owns that has been devoted to destruction, which is the same as harem for the Lord,
Okay.
be it human or animal or inherited holding, may be sold or redeemed. Every devoted thing is most holy to the Lord. No human beings who have been devoted to destruction can be ransomed. They shall be put to death. Meaning, the death of this person is holy to the Lord. Now, to me, this is a crazy law to have. How do we? If this
Hmm.
is part of God's moral system, that we get
Right.
to separate whole people groups and then slaughter them for the Lord, I'm struggling to see how this is better than, I
Right.
don't know,
Right.
helping
And
them.
here's where I start to diverge, and I kind of,
Hmm.
because I could just kind of practice alone by myself. I'm married and everything, and I still
Hmm.
just kind of keep this shit to myself for the most part. But
Yeah,
I, 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 I don't know if I necessarily subscribe to the idea that God is a perfect being.
sure.
I don't believe that I do. So when it comes to shit like this, I agree with you 100%. No, that doesn't make anybody's life great. I don't think he is this perfect being from start to finish. I think he's evolved and changed as he's existed in whatever space he's existed in. I don't know. I don't know how to describe that, but
Mm.
no, I don't agree that helps anybody. Nor do I believe that it's uh, something he would want you to do anyway. I think the New Testament, these are both Old Testament quotes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I just really personally, and think how you want about this. I just kind of stick to the New Testament on this kind of stuff. I just try to be a loving, caring person,
Mhm.
and I try not to get into the semantics of some of this stuff because I'm not educated enough to be able to talk about it in a sense where I
Mhm.
can distinguish between these things. Does that make sense?
Fair enough. But do you think God gave the commandment?
Yes.
Okay. So we would agree, at least according to the text, that God did give the commandment and that it seems to be not a good command, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay. So we would say then, we would be in agreement that it seems like God can and does give bad commandments sometimes, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So that leads me to the question, which I was going to ask the last guest, and he got into word salad. If God can give you some commands that are good and some commands that are not good, how do we determine which ones are good and not good?
I can't tell you how we determine. I can tell you how I determine. And how I
Yeah, sure.
determine, I guess, is personally, I guess I just kind of determine by as shitty and probably terrible as it sounds, just cherry picking the good stuff.
Sure, but how do we
So
know it's good?
I that's a good question. How do we know it's
Mhm.
good? What I guess how we could know it's good, is there any other basis for what is good? I feel like the Bible is a basis for what is good and what is bad for a lot of things, right?
Well,
So is there something else we can use as a basis for good to compare it to?
well, I think that's kind of where what we're trying to get at, right? So if the Bible
Okay.
is our source of goodness, it tells us what's good and what's bad, but it says
Right.
that genocide is good. I don't know where we go from there. What source do we bring in to say actually the God and the Bible were wrong? Genocide's not good.
I don't know. I don't really know, to be honest with you. It's just something I've kind of come to my own conclusion about. I can't really say I've heard a lot of people speak on that
Hmm.
to be able to debate that with you. I just like I can tell as a human being reading that that's not good. If there's an all perfect, if I'm going to consider him an all perfect being, that's not an all perfect command. So it can't, so not everything he says can be all perfect, right? There has to be some other kind of influences into the Bible, like how would you say it? There has to be some things in the Bible that aren't supposed to be there, if that makes sense. That's probably not the best way to say it, but things in the
Sure.
Bible that you're not supposed to listen to. How do we distinguish that? Common sense. I know it's not a great answer, but
It's probably better than what most Christians would say. But I guess that
just got to
leads
be
me to the
honest.
yeah, it leads me to the next question, which would be like, how is it that a perfect being, if God is perfect, gives
Hmm.
imperfect instructions?
I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that he is imperfect or that he is perfect. My bad. My bad. I don't believe that
Okay,
he's perfect, really.
gotcha. So God would be. So
I
if
think he
God,
does what he can. What he can.
sure. So if God is, let's say, less than perfect, then
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple things we have to shift around. One of the things is the passages that said that God is perfect, that His law is perfect, we would say isn't true. And we would
Mm-hmm.
say that we have to use our own common sense to determine which laws are good and which laws are bad, which would lead me to maybe a final question, which is if we have to use our minds to determine which morals are good and which morals are bad, why don't we just do that from the beginning and throw the book away?
Well, because isn't the book what we use as our basis to determine what is good or bad, right? Like without it, what do we have, right? I mean, we're talking about one of the most influential pieces of literature in the history of our existence, right? So
But
if we don't have it, yeah, we throw the book away, right? But then what does that leave us? I mean, do we go to the Torah? Do we go, what other piece of literature do we go to determine what else is good or bad?
oh, I don't think we do. I don't think we go to a piece of literature because we've already determined that
So,
this piece of literature can't tell us what is good or bad. We have to use our own
mm,
brains to figure out what we think is good or bad. Which, if that's what we have to do, we can do that without the book.
okay, fair enough, fair enough.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm listening.
So, my point is this: I think that there's not a good reason from this viewpoint. There's not a good
Mm-hmm,
reason
mm-hmm,
to believe that God's commands are good. There's not a good reason to follow those commands, right? So, like,
mm-hmm.
for you gave a better answer than what I was expecting. You said because when you follow some of God's commands, your life gets better. That's actually probably a good answer. Most people would
Right.
say because God will punish me if I don't. That's the wrong
Right.
answer.
See, I don't believe in that shit. I think that's the wrong. This is why I don't go to church. I find it very difficult to actually listen to somebody and be like, "Oh yeah, that's 100% true." Like bullshit. I have a hard time actually sitting there and not doubting some of the stuff that's coming out of their mouth. Like you
Yeah,
got to use your brain and debate. You got to debate with other people, right? I mean, like you got to
mhm,
talk. You got to figure it
mhm,
out.
right. Yeah. So that's actually the point with this particular prompt, which is this is one of the rare occasions where like I think the guest and myself might actually agree, which is pretty interesting.
All right, sweet, sweet.
So we might actually be in the same position. Christians, because the main goal of my prompt is to demonstrate that Christians and non-Christians actually, when you boil down to the root of the topic, we're still on the same footing when it comes to morals. We're still both using our own intellects to figure out what
Right.
morality is and what morality isn't, which means
Hmm.
Christians can't declare that we don't have any morals because it sounds like we have all the same morals. Like we're still left with our own
Right.
brains, right?
Yeah, and I'm never in the business of telling anybody what the hell to believe in anyway,
Mm,
You
yeah.
figure it out. We can have a good civil conversation, but who am I
Mhm.
to tell you anything?
Yeah.
Especially you with
Listen,
your master's degree over there. I can't tell you nothing.
it's an honest disposition to have, and there's a lot of people in the comments right now that are clapping for you. But with that, I don't know if we have anything to argue about, so I'll have to move on to the next. But that was a really cool conversation. It's not too often that we get a believer in here that will think about a proposition honestly and to say, "Oh yeah, now that you mention it that way." And that honestly, this is how I became a non-Christian, was just talking to others who disagreed with me and saying, "Oh yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. Let me go on and think
Right.
about that."
Yeah, I just personally, and this is hard to like quantify to you, but I believe I've had my own like personal experiences, which
Hmm.
are anecdotal and there's nothing I can really give to you to prove that, right? And
Right.
so it's, something I don't necessarily bring up to anybody. But because of that, and I do a lot of like meditation and like meditative prayer as well. It's a very personal thing for me. I'm definitely
Hmm.
not like most other Christians. It's a very personal journey for me. It's hard to kind
Yeah.
of quantify and kind of explain. So but no, I
Okay.
agree with some of the stuff you're saying. I appreciate the conversation and the time. It's been good talking
Yeah,
to you.
thanks for coming up, J Bomb. Huge W for having a cordial conversation. We appreciate it, and hope you do well.
Yeah, thanks. You too, man.
Cheers. That's the kind of Christian I'd hang out with. Fuck. Cool. Friends, we got Steve-O waiting in the YouTube box. We'll get Steve-O in here next. For some reason, the TikTok stream is really low today. It's kind of a weird day on TikTok. Our YouTube streams seem to be banging like usual, but not a ton of guests. So if you want to get into the conversation, we're going for another 2 hours. So you want to get in now. Don't wait for the last 30 minutes to get into the guest box, or we're not be able to get to you. Now's a great time to get into the guest box while there's still space in it. Carnage, thank you for the super chat. And look, remember for 6 months, hell yeah. This may well be the most photosynthetic caller you've ever had. Yeah, the last caller is for sure the most photosynthetic. 100%. Classic fucking callback. That was amazing. And PDAX says, you don't even know what Aristotelian metaphysics are. I really don't. I mean, I know what metaphysics is, and I know who Aristotle is. I've actually read a little bit of Aristotle back when I was in college. I found it to be ridiculous to me. I started reading Aristotle because they had arguments for Aristotle and Plato for like the divine, and I thought this would be really interesting to see what philosophy has to say about it. And I got like, I don't know, a couple of days into Aristotle and Plato, I was like, these guys are goofs. This is just word games. Cam, thank you for the super chat. Says it is hard to confuse everyone with special words when everything is written down. I know, isn't that the case? Listen, fucking write down definitions that the Phil Bros give you. It cooks them every time. They have no fucking idea what the words mean. The minute a Catholic tells me anything comes from God's nature, I'm like, well, what the fuck how can God's nature is a set of properties? How does something come from a set of properties? You have to pick something other than nature. What is it? Starry Night says, thank you for your live. I learned so much. Rock hard for Doug. Fuck yeah, Starry Night. Appreciate it. Super hard for Doug. And Dr. Pizza says, receptive aphasia, language processing problem, brain injury, is a sign of damage from a stroke. Remember to act quickly and know the signs so you aren't reduced to being a Phil bro. Look up FAST. Fucking A. That's... Dr. Pizza, but that is cold. And I love it. Texas Panhandler, thank you for the super chat. We hit 4 months of officially dating earlier. Oh, fuck. It's been 4 months. This month. So we'll be at near 5 when I get there again. Got trips planned through every year now. Praise Doug for his matchmaking skills. True. For people who don't know, we have, I think, more than one. We've got at least 2 love matches that have been made. I don't even think on purpose, maybe, in our Discord. If you are looking for someone to at least converse with and enjoy some pleasurable conversation, a lot of cool people in the Discord. I'm not saying you'll find love. I'm just saying anything can happen. Marduk says, do you not know Dr. Joe's email or the best way to contact her? Yes, I do know her email, but what you should do is go to her YouTube, or not her, well, go to her YouTube page, but she has a webpage. It's Dr. Joanne Ketch. So if you go to Google, I'll just go to the Google, and I'm going to type in Dr. Joanne. Oop, I got to type it right. Dr. Joanne Ketch, Ketch. Her webpage will come open, and it's joanneketch.com. And on there, you'll see a picture of her, obviously, and you'll see her credentials, her CV, and different ways that you can contact her. Or there is a spot on her webpage where you can just submit a message to her without an email address. Although I think you might need an email address for return. I don't know. So there's a couple ways to contact her. But if you really have trouble, a lot of people in the Discord are in communication with her. You're welcome to pop into the Discord and just ask around if you get into some trouble locating her. We love Dr. Joe. She might even be here right now. Daniel De La Noche, thank you for the super chat. You actually can replace words with their definitions if you're using the contextuality. If you're using them, I think you meant them contextually and grammatically appropriate definition, which you were. He just wanted to special plead without definitions. LOL. True. If you're saying this is what I mean when I say this word, then I'm just going to write the meaning into the definition. Definitions are what words mean. So when you tell me what these words mean, that becomes a definition. Sorry. Design says analogically pulled from the anus Philbro dictionary. Absolutely true. And the problem with saying saying that this applies to God analogically is identical to reading a Bible verse and saying it's a metaphor. A metaphor for fucking what? Analogies have to map onto something. If you can't tell me what they're mapping onto, then the analogy doesn't mean anything. Last super chat for now from Greg Liss says this Christian deconstruction song popped into my head on a long motorcycle ride and made me giggle. Why don't you turn me Jewish, turn me Jewish? I've got to do it Yahweh or no way at all. That fucking crazy. I've never heard that. Thank you, Greg. I have to look that one up. That's a new one. That's a new one for me. Let's get Steve-O in here. Welcome in, Steve-O. Are you at least 18?
Yeah.
Awesome. And are you a believer? Are you a Christian? Steve-O?
Oh yeah. Well, sorry, my screen froze. Are you calling me right now?
Yeah, you're on screen right now, bud.
Okay. Yeah, I was listening earlier and I had to cut out and I came back again. Listening to the part about the nature part. I wasn't sure what was going on there, but I called in because of the fact that it said Christians have no morals. And I thought,
Right.
okay, so you meant like a question mark after that. Exactly. And so the last thing I just saw on the screen was you had the scripture up there about the wiping out the Amalekites. Is that right?
Yeah, we read 1 Samuel 15:3 as well as Leviticus 27:28.
And I guess we can also include the flood as well, because all will be the same. So you have a problem with that in that you said, or the caller said that it was an imperfect God, and that because he's an imperfect God, he's doing these things. Was that the gist of it?
Well, that was his position.
Okay, that was his position. Okay.
Yeah.
Your position on this is what? That he's a
Well,
terrible God for doing it?
I don't think he exists.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
To
Well,
be
then why
sure,
don't
I
we
don't
get
think
more
any of these
time
stories are true.
devoted on the spaces talking about something that doesn't exist? Okay. But your position when you read that scripture, how do you would say what to a Christian when you read it?
1 Samuel 15:3.
Yes.
I
What
would
was
I
it
would
said about the
say,
Amalekites being with it?
I would just ask them when is it okay to murder children by the sword, and then they would tell me when they think it's okay to murder children by the sword, and then or
Okay.
sometimes they
Fair
say
enough.
it's not. They would say, listen, it's never okay to murder children by the sword, and then we have a conversation. Well, I mean, it must be okay sometimes because God said you could.
Okay. And if you and I kill somebody, it would definitely be murder. Now, what you're doing is you're seeing this from your perspective as a human and only as a human being, because I want to ask you a question. If God takes life, does he have the ability to restore it again or to resurrect it again?
My This is not my complaint that dying is somehow bad.
Okay. Well, since there was a controversy with that scripture, I can only go by that. But I could tell you that if you're reading it like you are, I didn't see any other like how to interpret it, what you were saying about it. But you and I, if we kill, we're murderers. We can't raise life up again. He
Uh-huh.
can. He did with that scripture you read,
Uh-huh.
with the other ones who were practicing the baby worshiping, and with the ones that were destroyed during the flood.
Well, the
He
Amalekites
raised them up
weren't
again.
killing babies.
No, I'm just saying there was another group that was, so the judgment had to come because they were sacrificing their babies to the fire.
Yeah,
It was an
the
abortion
Canaanites.
after birth. Yeah, exactly. So he did wipe them out. In this case, what happens is he has to do a blood feud. There's going to be an ongoing blood feud with these groups, and he's
Wait, he
decided
has to
that the
do a
blood
blood
feud
feud?
cannot go on. No, the blood feud will continue on its own. That's just a natural human thing that would happen
What?
with these groups. So he
Well,
decided to
I'm
wipe out the
curious.
blood feud with.
I just want to make sure I heard you right. You said God has to continue the blood feud or no?
No, 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 no. The blood feuds will continue. They will
Okay.
continue
Well,
against the Israelites, and this will be an ongoing blood feud.
so
So he did do
God
that
doesn't
to
believe
wipe
in
out
blood
that.
feuds?
Obviously not, because the blood feud
Really?
would be a generational thing of warring again and again and again. But the point that you're missing,
Have
and I
Have
want
you
to make
read
sure you
2 Samuel
you understand
21?
this, is scripturally that every single one of those situations where he intervened, in this case to end the blood feud, another case to end the practice that he gave multiple, almost 400 years of warning not to do, which is the blood sacrifices on that hot plate altar sacrifice to a Moloch. So basically, every single life, including the ones in the flood that were judged, all of them were raised up again, back
Sure.
to life.
Do you think this is my argument? Do you know what my argument is?
I can only go by what I saw when I heard when I tuned back in again with the scripture you had up there.
Would you like me to articulate my argument? I've got two of them, and I think blood. You mentioned
Well,
blood feuds.
Christians
I'd love to talk about
moral,
blood
so yes.
feuds. I'm more than happy to talk about blood feuds.
I'm just calling because all I said was Christians are not moral. I wanted to challenge you on that. And the
Well,
only thing
that's
I saw up there
well, you haven't
when I
yet.
call back was the scripture of the Amalekites.
But well, you actually didn't engage with my topic. What you're talking about has nothing to do with my topic.
Okay, I can only go by what I saw on the screen last when I called back in again. I saw the quote you had with the guy about the Amalekites being wiped out.
Well, listen, I'm happy to talk about either topic. You're touching on whether or not God is good, and I was talking about whether or not Christians have morals at all. Now, I think either of those topics are fun to talk about. Which one would you like to do?
Let's say God is good.
Sure. How do you know God's good?
God is good because what he's done is in this world he created for us, which is an imperfect world. It's a fallen world. We can argue how it got there, but we know how it got there if you look at it scripturally. It's a fallen world. Look around you. This is it. It's either going to be this free will world or not free will. There's no in between. It's either going to be what you got. This is it. This is what it looks like. And in this imperfect world, what he did is he himself decided to atone for this by becoming flesh
But
himself
I asked you, how do you know that God is
and
good,
making the
though?
atonement for us. Because he just gave us the ultimate sacrifice of making and atoning for our sins and for our eternal life. He
Sure.
himself came in
What's good about
flesh
that?
and did that after he created this world.
What's good about that?
Well, what's good about it is without that, I would have either a dirt nap or I would not have eternal life.
Well,
And what's
why?
good about it is that I have eternal life with him that he's given me. It's a free pass. There's nothing I have to do to earn it per se.
No, but pass
It's a free gift of God.
to what?
Sorry?
Pass to what?
Did you say path to what?
Pass. Pass. You said you get a free pass?
Yeah, free pass, a free pardon.
To what? Oh, a free pardon. Pardon for what?
Free pardon. It's like if you're in a court of law, let's say, and the judge is about to sentence you for something, and a governor and a clerk comes and says, "Hey, listen, the governor just gave you a pardon. Would you like to accept this pardon?" Well, I'm going to say,
pardon for what,
yeah, I'll
though?
take the pardon.
I know the pardon is. I'm asking a pardon for what?
For the transgression and for the sin of what would be me incarnal as a human being. That thing which is not holy enough to make it to heaven could not be on my own. So he's given me a solution and a
But
way
why
he
can't it
did
be in heaven?
And because you can't have the sin in heaven.
Why not?
It's a holy place. You can't have sin. You can't just have
So-
Hitler up there unrepentant.
How did Satan go
You
up there?
can't have-
Because he goes
You
up there
can't
and
have
talks
the
with
serial
God
killer
face
up
to
there,
face in
Ted
Job.
Bundy, unrepentant.
Why not?
Sorry?
Satan's up there.
Well, no, he's not.
Yeah, in Job chapter 1, he just
Of
goes
course
up
he's
there.
not. No, he
You-
goes
you
up
didn't
into
read
a
Job?
courtroom or a balcony to basically have a discussion, but read about what happens to
Well,
him.
he
in
goes to meet
Revelations,
with
he goes
God,
into
right?
the lake of fire.
Is he in God's presence?
Of course, he's not in heaven. You can understand it. You can
Well,
have a
where is
courtroom,
he?
You can have this in between space. He's having in a courtroom of God a discussion.
There's
he has
a
been thrown out from
courtroom-
heaven. He
there's
is
a
not ever
courtroom
going to be in
where?
heaven again. Somewhere in the celestial, somewhere in this between, who knows? We don't know where it is. The third heaven, the second heaven, somewhere up there was a courtroom where he's allowed to come in there and he's having a discussion with God. That doesn't mean he's in heaven. He's
Right, but where
allowed
is
to
he?
make his point. Right now, he's been
No. Where's the
right
courtroom?
now he's been cast. I don't know where the courtroom is. It's irrelevant what the courtroom is. You can use your imagination.
So, if God can be in the presence of sin, why can't he allow the presence of sin when he's in
God
heaven?
can be in the presence of all sorts of sin.
Oh,
Jesus
well, then
took
what's the
upon
problem?
Every sin. He can't be in front of it in terms of.
Why not?
See, God can be in the presence of sin when he's dealing with us human beings and giving us for example, the Israelites revealing himself, but he can't
Oh,
be and allow
then we can
sin
all
to
go to
come
seven.
into heaven and dwell
Why
there.
not?
Sorry?
Why not?
Again, just think about this logically.
Wait, so you don't have free will in
Up
heaven?
there, unrepentant.
Wait, do you have free will in heaven?
You have free will in heaven, but when you
Oh,
are in
but
Christ
how come
Jesus, and
how come no one's going to sin?
because we know that the sin nature, when you're in Christ Jesus, as we get into the new heaven and new earth, is taken away.
Oh,
There is no
so
more sin nature.
could God just take away our sin nature now? Then we wouldn't sin?
Nope, because this is a free will world that we're living in. This is
So
it.
why not just change
You
it?
have the angelic realm that was thrown out. They don't have
Yeah.
repentance because they
Listen,
were
we all
in
know.
that place and they
I'm
sinned.
asking, why doesn't he just change it then? Does he want us to sin?
No,
I mean,
he doesn't want to sin,
obviously,
but to be
obviously the free will is not all that important. Like, or the nature, the sin nature is not all that important if he's just going to take it away.
No, he's going to take it away for the saints and those that are in Christ Jesus, those that have
So what?
accepted his
Why?
pardon and atonement for this sin world we're
Why
in.
is he taking it
Why?
away?
Because he's decided he loves us so much. Because
But why is
John
he taking the sin
3:16
nature
tells us he
away?
loves us so much. Say that again.
Why is he taking the sin nature away once he get to heaven?
Why is he taking the sin nature away once you get to heaven? Because at that point, we are no longer being judged. We have the saints go through a salvation. So we're not going to be part of this world anymore. We're not going to be having a free, how do I put it? Our sin nature is taken away and it's disposed of, and Christ Jesus is who made that possible.
Okay, so God gave us a sin nature, which means we're going to sin no matter what, right?
He didn't give us a sin nature. He
Where'd
gave
it
us
come
a
from?
choice in the garden.
Well,
This is the tree of life.
you said
Do
he's going to
not
take it
go
away.
here.
How
This
did he?
is
How does he take it away? But he didn't create it.
because he gave us the tree in
Where'd
the
it come
Garden of
from?
Eden, and he said, "It's
Listen, I
obedience." You're not
I already
asking
know the
obedience.
story,
He
Steve-O. I just
said,
need an answer. Where did it come from?
"I'm just telling you, there was the garden, there was a
Storytellers,
tree. They said, do
they never
not go
learn.
here, because if you do,
Steve, I just need a
that's
location
disobedience."
or a person or a place. Where does it come from? Where does this sin nature come from? Because it didn't exist eternally, did it?
Apparently, it existed in the free will of the angelic realm. Yeah.
So what you're suggesting is that the sin nature is eternal as God is eternal.
Nope. I'm suggesting that in heaven, free will creatures made an unbelievable thing where 1/3 of them actually rebelled and tried to do a coup. And they were
No, I'm
cast
asking about the
down.
sin nature. I don't know why you keep talking about things that
Okay.
aren't relevant to the topic. I'm asking if the sin nature once did not exist, which is obviously the point, and then it came into existence. When did it come into existence?
The sin nature came into existence with disobedience.
Okay. So when Adam and Eve disobeyed, sin
Yes.
nature popped into existence.
Correct.
What was the mechanism that caused that
Yep.
to happen?
Disobedience and not following God's word and his instructions, not listening to him or trusting him.
Right. So there was a mechanism in place that once Adam and Eve
Yes.
sinned, the sin nature would poof into existence.
There wasn't a mechanism in place. There was an act that caused it. And that
Right,
act
yeah,
was
but-
disobedience to God.
Well,
And
I know
it's
about the
basically
act.
a prerequisite. Right.
I'm asking how. How does an act cause a nature to exist?
Because disobedience, when we disobey God's word and instructions, when we
Mm-hmm.
disobey his laws, obviously and logically, you can deduce what's going to happen. So he gave them a perfect situation, a perfect world. Now, remember, also, he knew one thing ahead of time. He knew ahead of time. See, the thing is, before he created the world, he already knew this would happen. So that's why Christ was the
Steve.
word in flesh with them already.
Hey, Steve.
So it's not
listen,
a mystery.
Steve,
that it
just
would
pause for
happen.
a second. Pause. Steve, you're a nice guy. I can tell you're a nice guy. So I'm trying to level with you. All of us know the story. We know it inside and out. You don't have to tell us the story. We just need answers to easy questions, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so my question is, what was the determining factor, right? When Adam and Eve sinned, why did the sin nature appear? Could it have been different?
Now you're talking hyperboles and just uber examples of how, like, I'm not sure what you mean. Could it be different? It was very easy to understand why it popped in. We read the word, it's disobedience. Every time we have disobedience to God, there's going to be problems. If I follow God's instructions in His word, I'm not going to have those problems. If I don't, I will have them. Even with
But
even with the forgiveness of repentance, you're still going to suffer consequences if I don't follow His word, and I commit things like sin. Like David suffered greatly with his family and what he had to go through for his adultery. There was repentance
well,
for that, but he still
his
suffered the
wives had to
consequences
suffer.
for that.
He didn't suffer shit.
He
But
suffered.
my
He
no, he
suffered.
didn't.
He
His
did.
wives
He.
his wives
Would
were
you
the
like
one
to?
that got sexually
No.
assaulted. They were the ones that
No.
suffered.
No. No. Well,
Yeah.
no. He suffered in the sense that he almost he wouldn't eat for
What's the
days. He was
what's the
despondent.
punishment for adultery? In Deuteronomy 22, what's the punishment for
Uh,
adultery?
Stoning, I believe it is.
Did he get stoned?
So stoning?
Yeah.
No, I think it only
Oh,
applies to
so he didn't get punished,
non
did he?
non-kings. No, I didn't, and neither did the woman that
No, it
Jesus
applies to Israelites.
very wisely spared.
Okay,
Sorry.
so to be clear, his
Yeah,
son
that should have.
died.
Yeah.
His son died
Yes.
as a consequence, and then his 10 concubines got raped. Those were the consequences that God set in place, which means David didn't actually do the suffering. The baby and the wives did the suffering.
No. A curse
Listen,
fell on the family.
if you're
He did the
if you're
suffering. Read it
what well
carefully.
no God didn't send a curse. He sent a punishment. He says so. So if you right, if you and your wife there's some sexual infidelity there, would you rather be the one who gets sexually assaulted? Like, would it be better for you personally as a punishment? Let's say you're the one that committed the crime. You're the one that was, stepping out. Would it be better and more just for you to get sexually assaulted rather than your wife for the things that you did?
Well, now you're talking about an example that wouldn't apply to me
What?
because it was
Why wouldn't it?
David specifically. Because we're not in the Old Testament anymore, and we're not dealing
I'm
with.
not.
We're
I'm
in the
not
New
asking
Covenant
about.
now,
I'm not asking
but
about the laws. I'm asking about what justice is. Is it just to punish the people who didn't commit the crime?
honestly speaking, that thing about David. Just a second over here. I forgot now what verse that was.
It's 2 Samuel
Uh,
12,
okay.
verse like 7
Okay.
through 14,
Yes. Just a
something like
second
that.
over here. Let me just find over here. Yes. Yep. Yep. Okay. He did not receive the death penalty for adultery. Instead, the prophet Nathan announced God's specific judgment. Yes. So this prophet announced a specific judgment, and therefore.
I can read your verse.
Let's just see over here. Just a second over here. Trying to pull it up over here.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Okay, why did he spare his life? God spared David's life. Why did he spare his life from the death penalty?
What? Why do you think that would answer my question? My question is it just, is it fair to punish the people who did not commit the crime rather than punishing the person who did commit the crime?
Again, just give me 1 second here.
Sure.
Just a second. I'm pulling this up over here. I want to see where it is. Okay. So, yeah, we're talking about the Old Testament. So we're talking about Samuel gave him the punishment because of the sins of the father and the shared responsibility that fell upon the household then if you did something like that. Okay. So it was a punishment that the sins fell upon the father and it was shared on the household. And as a result of that, that's why we're reading that that took place on him. Again, like with everything else, those individuals too that we're talking about, his son, again, even though he was slain there, God did raise him up again.
Right, but my question is it fair to punish the people who did not commit the crime as opposed to the person who did?
Well, I think that when you look at it in the Old Testament and you see the way it was done with the punishment falling corporately on the household and the head of the household and the family members, it was basically a law that they knew existed, and they knew that's what was corporal punishment for the family at that time, for the household
Right, but
at that
I'm
time as
asking, is it
well.
fair
So it's
though?
a
Is
shared
it fair
responsibility.
to punish the person who didn't commit the crime rather than the one who did?
Well, it's fair to punish if the law was that the household will be punished, and the head of the household knew would be responsible for that in this case. Then in God's handing down of this law, it would be corporately fair for the household. Yes, but again,
Didn't God say that
the
the one who sins will die for their own sins in Ezekiel and also in Jeremiah? And didn't he did where did he say that if you commit adultery, your spouses get raped? Did David know this
I'm
was going to
just going
happen?
by the fact that no, David didn't. Well, David didn't know what was going to happen. Obviously, he knew
Well,
after
then
the fact of
then you
what
can't
the
hold him
consequences would
accountable
be.
for what
No, no,
happened to
I'm
the
not saying no, no,
wives.
no. He knew about the corporate family thing. I'm just saying he didn't
He didn't
realize
know
how
about
bad
the
it would
wives getting
be.
raped.
How much. Oh, no. Hold on a second over here. I just said because it was a shared responsibility corporately for the household, and the head of the household would bear the responsibility as well, but it would go down to the family. So he knew that. But I'm just saying at the time he did it, and his lust took over. Obviously, he didn't know that.
Yeah, but my question is, did he know that his wives would be raped? Steve?
I would, yeah, I would say that. Trying to pull up the scripture over here again.
Can you
Uh,
see the screen? I can put it on the screen. If you're
yeah,
on a smartphone, you
okay.
should be able to see the live stream.
Yeah. No, I'm not on that. I'm jumping around from
Hmm.
screen to screen over here.
Hmm. Right. So I don't know which verse you're trying to find. I can put it on the screen for you, but where's the verse that would indicate that David knew his wives were going to be raped if he committed adultery?
I'm trying to look at the scripture. Yeah. So, yeah, again, the punishment fell on David, and David's, yes, you're right, his family and his household did suffer the consequences because the sins, he'd committed the sin and it didn't fall down on the household. That's
Right.
the way it was.
And the question
That's the
is
way
it
it
fair
was. And
though?
that's something that I think that if God's plan is going to be to raise them back to life again and give every single one of them life again, eternal, yeah, it is fair.
But how do you know that the wives
He get,
got eternal life?
how do I know that?
Yeah.
Because I read in Second Peter the accounting of when Jesus said it is finished on the cross. He first descended into the lowest parts, resurrected all those people, including all from the Old Testament,
But
including those who were disobedient in the
it
times of
didn't
Noah,
say he
and
resurrected all of
preached
them. It
the
says he
gospel to
preached to
them.
them so that those who
He
would believe would be
preached the
saved.
gospel to them.
But they didn't all get saved. It didn't
Exactly.
say
Even
that.
those that were disobedient in the times of Noah. So every single
It
person in the Old
it didn't
Testament
say that they were all
had the
saved.
gospel preached to them.
They didn't all get saved though.
He he preached them, including those that were even disobedient in the times of
Yeah,
Noah.
but
Obviously,
that
that would include
preaching, that
everybody
doesn't
that was
mean they all got
disobedient.
saved.
He preached the gospel and led
Where?
captivity captive. So let me ask you a
Yeah,
question.
uh-huh.
If he's preaching to you saying, hi, would you like to join me in heaven over here now? Because what is the good
Mm-hmm.
news of the gospel? Here's the good news of the gospel. Believe
Mm-hmm.
on me and have eternal life. Believe on me
Mm-hmm.
now and spend eternity with me. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to turn that down, I think that's on you. I don't know how you could do that. Only atheists today with that message of
Just to
salvation
be
turn it down, but certainly
just to be clear,
not anybody.
you're assuming that everybody went to heaven. So
Everybody
even
got preached to. That is good
so
enough.
even
Every
even
single person got the
the people
gospel
of Sodom
preached.
and Gomorrah.
It says everybody, including those that were disobedient in times of Noah. That would include
Well,
everybody.
he
Obviously, if you're
preached to them. It doesn't
disobedient in
say
the
that they
times of
all got
Noah,
saved.
what more do you want than preaching? Isn't that fair? If he preaches to you the good news
Preaching
of the
is not
gospel
the
and you
same as
reject it, is
saving.
that on him or on you?
It doesn't matter who it's on. It just
No.
means
If
that
if
it doesn't say that they all
oh
got
no,
saved.
of
You're
course,
saying that they all
if
got
he
saved, and it doesn't
preached
say
the good
that.
news of the gospel to he preached the good news of the gospel to me in my life. I accepted it. If I
Sure.
decided to turn it down, is that God's fault or my fault?
We're not talking about faults. We're talking about
Steve,
basic grammar. The
Steve,
question is, did all the dead in the past get raised to life? It doesn't say that.
every single one of them got preached. You can clearly see that. It says,
I'm
including
aware they
those that
got
were
preached
disobedient in
to.
the
That doesn't
country.
mean they
Exactly.
got saved.
It doesn't matter, because if you
It
have the
does.
good news of the gospel preached to you and you don't accept it, he's not going to force you. But at the same time, if you reject that like you are now, or if someone rejects it today, is that on God or is that on
Steve,
you? He
you're
gave you the
lost.
free gift.
We're not asking about
I'm not
blame.
lost.
We're asking about what does the passage say? Does the passage say that they were all saved or that they were all preached to?
It's all preached to.
Okay, there
And
we
that's
go.
good
That's all I
enough.
needed you to say. Well, all we're
Okay.
asking is,
All
did
right.
they all get
There you
saved? So
go.
you said that David's wives would have went to heaven. They would have all been saved, but you don't know that. You don't know which one of
I
those
can't
women would
imagine.
have been in
Okay, so
heaven
then, okay, so let's put it this way: everybody's resurrected, and everybody's given the chance of life eternal and the good news of the gospel preached to them. If you
after they die.
reject that, you would have to be an atheist
Wait, after they die?
today.
No, after they die.
After they die, of course. We just read that.
So you think
Yes,
after
we just
people
read that. This was
die, they're going to be resurrected and given another chance to repent?
no. In the Old Testament, we're talking about the Old Testament. They all slept. It was a dirt nap. Christ Jesus
I know.
is the one who made the dirt
Well,
nap
kind of. It
go
depends
away.
on
So
which
we're
book you're
talking about
reading.
the Old Testament now.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I know. I'm aware. It depends on what book you're reading.
We're
Not all
talking
of them
about
believe the same thing.
we're
Some
talking
people believe that Sheol was a place where souls resided and actually did stuff. Like in Ezekiel 28, it says that the Rephaim or the shades are waiting for your arrival in Sheol, right? Meaning there are like spirits of dead kings down there.
Yeah, and David talked about Sheol as far as he said, I would be dead there. So no, it doesn't for death. It's
Right.
death there. Now we
So
can talk about different things. Now you talked about different types of punishment that will be in different types of hell, including the in the book of Revelation, the second death, which is I think a pretty humane way to
yeah,
go. People that don't
Revelation
want to accept the
21
goodness of the gospel, but
being thrown
we're
into a
talking
lake of
about
fire is
yes, we're
humane.
talking just no,
Okay.
it's
You
second
think
death
being
is also
yeah,
applied.
Revelation 21 says that the second death is being thrown in a lake of fire.
Correct. No,
So that's what I said.
when
You think
Jesus
being thrown
talked
into a
about
fire is humane?
hold on, just give me a second to answer this, if you will. If you read
That's
Jesus
just
in
a yes or
in the
no.
Gospels, you'll clearly see, can I just finish, please? Thank you. You'll clearly see that he defines that there is different degrees of punishment and judgment. Not
I know.
everybody gets the same punishment, not
I know.
everybody gets the same judgment.
I'm aware.
Also, it says second
It
death.
says it'll be
That is a
worse for
death.
Tyre and Sidon in the judgment than it will be for those in
Yeah,
Sodom
that's
and
right.
Gomorrah. I'm aware. I'm
Exactly.
not.
You
You
can't
don't need
judge
to
a Hitler
explain
and a
any
Schindler
of
the
this to
same
me. You
way.
just need to answer
Exactly.
questions.
Right.
So
What
every
is it?
time you go
The
into
second
explaining the
death.
Bible, you're just explaining stuff that we already know. Like I do this all day, every day. I know all these verses. So what I need to know is I'm still trying to figure out David's wife situation. We don't know that all of them went to heaven, do we?
We know that everybody was preached to. You can't get better than
But
that.
do we know if all of them went to heaven?
Well, no, but they were given the
There you
opportunity
go.
to
So,
accept that.
so what that means is
So here's my here.
you
here-
can't
so
say
here you
that
go,
the
Steve, but
raping of the wives was
here's-
justified because they're going to be in heaven. You don't know if they're going to be in heaven.
Okay, they were all resurrected, and the good news of the gospel was preached to them. So here you go, Steve. Here's five.
Okay,
Here's a,
so
a,
just-
a basket full of gold.
So
Do you want
just
to
to be
accept it?
clear,
No, I don't.
you think it's okay to be raped
That's not
in
me.
this life, to be brutally raped in this life, as long as you get into heaven.
No, we're talking
For-
about the
for a
Old
crime that you
Testament,
didn't
and
commit.
The judgment fell on the household. It's as simple as that. It fell
Just to
on
be
the
clear,
household,
you
and
think it's
family members,
justified
including.
for a person to be sexually assaulted for a crime they didn't commit, as long as they get to go to heaven?
I'm saying that in the greater picture and scheme of things, what God did is He had a
I'm,
restoration
buddy,
plan for every single
I just
one
need
of
a
those
yes or
people.
no.
Every
Yes or
single
no.
one of them.
Is it acceptable for someone to get sexually assaulted? Is it okay as long as they get to go to heaven after?
It's acceptable in the sense that just like the Amalekites were wiped out to end that blood feud,
So it
God
is.
still had a plan in place. Every single one of them would have the gospel preached to them.
Okay, so
Now,
so
they would have
suffering doesn't
eternal
matter in
life.
this world because you can get heaven.
Suffering doesn't matter in this world. There's going to be
Oh.
suffering in this world. That's
So,
unavoidable.
but does it matter?
Well, it depends what you mean by does suffering matter. We're all going to suffer. We all suffer.
I mean,
Suffer is unavoidable.
but does it matter? Like, if you're saying, listen, it doesn't actually matter if these women got sexually assaulted, they went to heaven after. So does it matter or not?
Well, the greatest thing that matters is the fact that they had the gospel preached to them. And now, in eternity, every single one of those people in the Old Testament, being disobedient, being whatever, being even the ones that were wiped out by the blood feud or by the judgments, every single one of them had the opportunity to be with the Lord forever
Cool.
in heaven. So he had
So
a
then
purpose
you
and a
would
plan
agree
to
with my
apply the gospel.
statement that it is justified to have somebody sexually assaulted as long as they go to heaven. That's what you mean to say.
No, I'm not saying that it's. I'm
Well,
just
when
saying
is
that
it okay?
that's just the nature
When
of
is
what life was like back then.
when is
The
it not okay
household
to sexually
suffered.
assault somebody?
Well, it's not going to be okay to sexually assault somebody. Um, if what are we talking about now? If I sexually assault somebody, I'm going to be paying a penalty for it, obviously, and a price.
So they go to heaven. Who cares? So do you. So when
No,
is
no,
it
no,
bad? When
no,
when
no.
is it
I
not
don't.
good?
No, no. I need. No, I don't. I don't go to. I don't go to heaven if I sexually assault somebody not
Yeah, you
a
do.
repentant sinner. No, I don't go to heaven.
Well,
I'm going to be
no,
judged.
no one
I'm
said
not going to
anything
go to
about
heaven.
repentance. No one said anything about repentance. The only unforgivable sin is blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. So we're square there. If you sexually assault somebody, you
Yeah,
can go to
that's
heaven.
misunderstood as well too.
Oh,
It's misunderstood a lot too. That's
it's
for
certainly
sure.
not. So the question is it okay to have somebody S8 as long as they go to heaven? Or is it still bad?
It's a terrible situation, but it's brought upon David, and David is responsible for it. He's the one
Why?
who transgressed. It's on him.
So why didn't he get raped?
Why? Well, he didn't get raped, but he suffered a consequence. But the
Do,
household
do you
judgment
think
came on
it's
him, and
do you
he
think
bore
it's
responsibility
worse?
for it.
Do you think it's worse to know? He wasn't even there to witness it, by the way. He didn't even know what was happening when it happened? Do you think it's worse to know that your 10 concubines got sexually assaulted, or worse to actually get brutally sexually assaulted?
Uh, Again, we're going into the Old Testament over here,
But
and
my
we're
question
talking
is,
about a
which
time.
one which one's more severe? Being assaulted or knowing somebody was assaulted?
What's worse, knowing someone's assaulted or not knowing they're assaulted?
What feels
I didn't understand
worse?
that.
What feels worse to a person? Knowing that someone you care about has been assaulted or being assaulted yourself? Which one's worse?
I'm not. I'm not sure. They're both bad, but the point is that
You're not
David,
sure?
when he did that, his consequences and his household protection was lifted for that time, and he is the one to bear responsibility for that. He did that.
Just to be
Now I
sure,
know someone going
well, he didn't actually do that, by the way. He had no idea that his wives would be raped. So he didn't do that. God did that.
to. No,
Could God have
of
decided a
course he
different
didn't know that.
punishment? Could
But his
God have decided a
protection for
punishment
his
that
household was
only
lifted.
punished David and not David's wives?
Specifically, the king, yeah, yes, he's
No,
punished kings in
God.
the past, sure.
Okay, so God didn't have
Oh, I
to
see.
God didn't have to have the women raped?
Well, the punishment came. I mean, we can look at it 15 ways to Sunday, but the punishment came as a result of the protection being lifted from his household for that act that he did.
Steve,
There was a
listen,
consequence on his
I asked
household.
you an
The whole
easy
family bore
yes or no
responsibility back
question.
then.
We just need a yes or no. Repeating the same talking point's never going to be effective. It's just a yes or no. Could God have chosen a punishment that directly affected David that didn't irreparably harm the 10 women? Steve-O? Steve-O? Anything? I think he lost reception. People in the comments that thought he was driving might be right. Well, Steve-O, when you get your reception back...
Sorry,
Oh, there you go.
I'm in a car. I am in a car. I am in a
Fair
car.
enough.
I'm in a car.
So, did you hear my question?
Go ahead and repeat it again, please.
Yeah. Could God have chosen a punishment that directly affected David without harming the women?
Yes, you could have.
Oh, gotcha. So the harming of the women was unnecessary.
No, I'm saying that the punishment that he decided to mete out was a punishment consistent with what was known.
No,
what
the
happened
question
in the
was it
household.
necessary?
Was it necessary?
To be sure, the
Was it
answer is
necessary for
no, because
David
you
to be
said it.
punished?
You said it could be another way, which means it's not necessary. That's the definition of necessary means it couldn't be another way. You said that it could be another way, which means it was unnecessary to do it this way. That's what that means.
No, it's not. I'm not saying. I'm just telling you. I'm not the one who's going to say that God should have done it this way or that way necessarily. I'm just reading what it is. It is what it is. And the punishment that came down, we read, was on David's head, though. This was on him.
It's on
He
God,
knew this
actually.
would
Because
come on his
wait,
family. He didn't know what would
No, he
happen.
didn't. No, show me where he knew his wives would be raped.
Well, he knew that if, as the head of the household, he did something like this, there will be a penalty passed on that household. He knew
Did
that.
he know what the penalty was?
No, he did not necessarily in that specific.
Do you think if he knew?
No.
Do you think
But
if he
we
knew
knew
his
what the
son was
penalty
going to
was.
chase him out of the palace, run a coup against him, and then rape his 10 wives, you think he would have done the same thing?
Well, Absalom, Absalom's coup is a whole different thing over here, including
But
the way David dealt
he's
with
the
it. I
one.
mean, it was
He's the
quite,
one that raped him.
Yes, but
So
Absalom's coup attempt
was
right,
a punishment that God brought
coup
on.
attempt.
So the question,
Absalom's coup attempt on his.
Steve, I think you're losing reception, bud.
Okay. No, I can still kind of hear you.
Right. So the reality is, as punishment, God decided that he would raise Absalom up as opposition, and then he would have David's wife sexually assaulted. And the question I had was, could he have picked a different punishment?
Actually, you got me on this one. I'm not even sure that I don't remember the scripture. Are you saying that Absalom was raised up for the coup as a result of this punishment?
Yeah, so God says
I
in
don't remember that.
2 Samuel 11, God says, I will raise up trouble against you from within your own house. That's Absalom. That's the one within his own house
That's
that
Absalom.
caused...
Yes, you're right. Exactly right.
So
Yep.
God says he's doing
Making
it.
the house go into chaos. Exactly.
Right. So
making the
could
house
he have
go into
done something
chaos,
different?
and then the punishment would be. Yes, of course you could have done something different.
Yes.
But just
Okay.
because
So
you
we're
don't
actually
want it to
getting
be
somewhere
different,
now.
and
Well,
I don't
it's
want it
not
to be different.
it's not about my wanting. It's just about basic definitions. So the question was, could he? Sorry, I put a instead of he. Could he pick a punishment that did not harm the women? And the answer to that question was yes. He could have picked a punishment that did not harm the women. We agree there.
I think, yeah, we could. We agree there. Yeah.
Okay. So what that means, right? What do you think the definition of necessary is?
Of who? Necessary?
The definition of the word necessary.
Necessary?
Yeah.
Necessary.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the definition is. It's necessary. Necessary is it's of utmost. It's I don't know what the necessary is. It means that
It's fine.
it has prominence. It has waiting to happen. I don't know what it means exactly.
It means it could not be another way. When something's necessary, it means this is the only way it could be. It's the only way it can happen. It was necessary, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Now,
Okay.
if something could have been different, that means it's not necessary, right? If you've got two choices rather than one choice, then it's not necessary for you to pick one specific choice. You have two choices. If you only have one choice and you have to pick, well, then it's necessary to pick that one choice. It's the only one you have, right?
Well, not unless you understand how you're going to apply the word necessary into this culture, because corporate responsibility was completely heavy
Right,
in
but
that time. Like
I'm
it
talking
was
about what God's
absolute.
doing.
Now, hold on. The idea that a father sins brought immediate devastating consequences to the entire household was something known. That was the case of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So when he did that, okay, and the way it was viewed was in the culture was that that's what was expected to be done. It will come through your household. You will be punished. The father did the crime, whatever, but the household will bear corporate responsibility. That's the way the hierarchy was set up back
Yeah,
then.
no one
We're
asked
no
about how
longer
it's
under
set up,
that now. We're
Steve-O.
under the old
Steve-O,
testament.
no one's asking about that. We already know you've said it 5 times. That's never been a question. The question was, is it necessary?
Under that corporate responsibility, that was the necessity how it was done. Under the
No, I didn't.
definition of
I didn't
necessary for
ask.
that
I
whole
didn't ask about
understanding of
that.
how that
I didn't
corporate
ask about how God set it up.
responsibility was done
I
then.
didn't ask about that. I asked, is it necessary? Could God have done something different? Go all the way back to the beginning of time. Could God have done something different so that David got punished and these women didn't?
Again, he's not going to go back and make us machines or program us. We're going to have
It's
free will to do as we do.
no, you don't have
He's
free
not going to
will.
do
He
anything different.
determined that the women would get raped. That's a lack of free will. He decided they would be
No,
raped.
no, no, no,
They
no,
didn't decide
no.
that.
I'm talking about I'm talking about Davis now. Again, the
I'm talking about the
punishment was
women.
delivered through a lens. No, let me
I'm
just explain
talking
this.
about
It
the
was
women,
delivered through a
Steve-O. I
lens.
don't need an explanation. You're going to say the same thing you just said. I need you to answer a question
But
about God's capability. Does God possess
you're
the
saying that
capability to make a different decision at the beginning of time when he put
not
everything
the
in
way,
motion?
not
Could
the way,
he have
not the
decided
way
to
you,
use a punishment that didn't include the rape of these women? Could he do that?
not the way you wanted or me wanted, where you wanted
It's
it
not
to be
about
written the way
me.
you wanted it to be
It's not
written,
about me.
and the
I'm
way.
asking
Yes, it
if
is.
he has the
It is about you.
capability. Does he possess the capability?
Well, but capability, he possesses the capability to end the world tomorrow, but he's not going to do it. He
So
possesses the
does he
capability
possess
to
the
send
capability? Yes or
send
no? Yes or no?
capability. Yes,
Yes or
but
no?
we
There we
already
go. You
know.
finally got it. So if God
Yes,
possesses the capability to pick a punishment that does not include the women being sexually assaulted, then definitionally, that means their assault was not necessary. It was optional.
no, it means that the
That's what
punishment
it
delivered
means.
at that time through the lens of
Okay,
that
just
patriarchal
just to be clear,
society,
you can see the
where his
screen, right?
household was an extension of his honor, his status, his
Can
property.
you see the
That was
screen?
all part of
Steve-O,
it
can
back
you
then.
see what's on the
That
screen?
was
Yes
all
or
part
no?
of it.
Can you see the screen?
No, hold on. No, hold on.
Are
I
you
have
on a
to.
phone? What are you
Good.
on?
Yeah, I'm on a phone, a cell phone. Yeah, it's
Does it have a smartphone? Is it a screened phone?
good. Could he pick up punishment that he not be harmed the woman? Yes or no?
And the answer
Actually,
was
I can't see the screen.
he could.
I have to talk. Yeah, I'm on the cell phone. I'm
Okay,
going back.
so
I'm on. I can only hear you best if I'm on the screen that I don't see anything except just a blank screen over here.
interesting. Are you holding it vertically or horizontal?
Vertically.
All right. Well, we'll do what we can. Easy enough. I'm going to put together a simple point-by-point operation to explain why you're just struggling to understand these definitions. Point number 1. If a decision could have been different, you follow so far? If a decision could have been different, that means that it was not necessary. That means that the decision wasn't necessary. Do we agree?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
We do
I'm
agree.
just right.
But the
I'm
point
just
that you
writing
have to
just writing it
understand
down.
is the
Just
point you have
writing
to
it down.
understand is
I
that
already understand. I
yes, I know
understand.
you
I
are.
know
You
all the
are.
stories. You don't have to explain the stories to
No, no,
me.
no. The point you have
I
to
have
understand
plenty
is
of
that
understanding about the Bible. I need you to
coulda,
focus on
woulda,
definitions.
shoulda,
We're not done with
coulda, woulda,
definitions
shoulda.
yet. We're not done with definitions yet.
In that
So what
In
that
that
means
uber
is
patriarchal
if a
society,
decision
that's the
could
way it was
have
done.
been different, that means that the decision was not necessary. Premise number 2 then is, I did one again. If a decision is not necessary, then it was what? What's the opposite of necessary?
It was absolutely necessary for that patriarchal society
Nope,
and
I
the way it
didn't
was
ask
viewed through the
that.
lens.
I didn't. I'm not
It
asking about
absolutely
society.
was.
These are just
No,
definitions. I'm not mentioning the
no,
Bible at all. This has nothing to do with the Bible, Steve.
no.
Steve, this has
It's a
nothing to
different
do with
world
the
than we are
Bible.
today.
This has nothing to do
It
with the
is
Bible,
Old
Steve.
Testament,
I'm
New
asking you
Testament,
about basic
totally
word
different.
definitions in the dictionary. This is simply about what words mean, unrelated to the Bible. These points would be true even if we were talking about the Quran. These are just
No, it wouldn't.
definitions. If a
No, it
decision
wouldn't.
could have been different, that means the decision was not necessary. We agree. Premise 2, if a decision is
No,
not
we don't agree that it wasn't
necessary,
necessary. We
you
agree it could have been
said
different. We do
you
not agree it
said
was necessary.
you
It
said that it could have
different.
been different. That means that it's not necessary. So I read it for you again. Point number 1, if a decision could have been different, meaning another decision could have been made, that means the decision itself doesn't qualify under the definition of necessary. Do we agree?
No, because it's not
Holy
necessarily
shit.
how I see it. Under the Old
Do you,
Testament
do you
days,
just
it's
want me
just
to
not the
read you the
same.
dictionary? Is that what you need? Do we have to go
For
over the
the
dictionary?
word necessary. No, we agreed that it could have been a different thing. We agreed on that. But you're
No,
saying
I'm
it's
talking about the
necessary.
definition of the word necessary. Do you need me
What
to
is the
give it to
definition of
you
word necessary?
again? It means it
Yeah, go
could
ahead.
not
I didn't
have
hear it.
been of any other way. If it's necessary, there's no other way it could have been. If there's another way, that means the path forward was no longer necessary. It was optional. These are basic English definitions. This has nothing to do with the Bible.
Okay, so it was so necessary and optional. So the judgment is going to come the way God did it. You don't agree with
Jesus Christ, the preaching.
because
I don't care about the judgment right
you,
now. We're just trying to get through basic definitions. So point number 1 is if a decision could have been different, that means that the decision was not necessary. This is basic definitions. It has nothing to do with the Bible. Can we agree?
yes, but a judgment
There
has
we
to be
go.
done.
I
So we
don't give a
still
fuck about the
agree. We
judgment. We're
still
still on
agree.
definitions,
Exactly.
Steve. Stop trying to get
Okay.
ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Point number 2,
Okay.
a decision
Yep.
is not necessary. I'm sorry, if a decision is not necessary,
Yes.
then that decision must be classified as unnecessary. Do we agree?
No, not unnecessary.
Anything
Just
that's
it
not
could be
necessary
could be
is
something different.
unnecessary. No, that means unnecessary. That's what the word means.
No.
That's what the
No.
word
Now
unnecessary means.
it could be. It didn't. It wasn't necessary, but it could have been something. It had to be something.
I
So
agree.
that
The question
something
is
doesn't
was the
preclude.
something considered necessary or unnecessary? And by the definition, it means that the decision
But
itself was
ah,
unnecessary. It
but
makes it
you're going.
optional.
No, but you're okay. You're going by the dictionary definition of necessary.
Yes,
I'm
because we're talking
focused more
about
on the
words in the English language.
Yes, but we're also talking about the word necessary as it related to that
No, we're
patriarchal
not.
society
I
and the
told
way
you,
it was
we're
viewed in
not
the
talking
lens
about that,
of
Steve.
his
Just pretend the Bible
status
never
and
got
honor
fucking written,
all being
Steve.
part of that property.
Steve, no one's
Yes,
talking
we
about
are.
the Bible. No, we're not. We're talking
Yes,
about
we
the
are.
definition
You
of
said
words.
Christians are
Just
moral, and I'm
just
talking
forget that
about something
that the
I'm a
Bible was
Christian.
ever fucking written and pretend we're talking about English words right now.
I
We're
can't.
just talking about
I
words.
can't because that would be
You
like pretending
can.
that you and I don't
Because
exist in our
all we
talking.
need to
It
do
does
is
exist.
talk about
It
words
was
in
written.
English. The definition is
No, sir.
unnecessary.
It was written.
Something that's not necessary is by definition unnecessary, isn't it?
No, you can't exclude the Bible from this discussion.
Wrong
So the only reason
again.
I
I'm
called
talking
in, I
about
can't.
definitions. Anything
Okay,
that
let's
is not
pretend. Let's
necessary
exclude.
is
Okay,
classified as
you and I don't
unnecessary.
exist. Okay, you and I
Steve,
don't exist. We were
listen,
never
listen.
created.
I don't
We don't
know.
exist.
I don't know why you can't track. I don't know why you refuse to engage. I need you to at
No,
least
I've conceded that point.
grab on
It
to
wasn't
some
necessary
basic
to be that
definitions.
particular.
There we go. You finally
No,
got
it
there.
wasn't
So the punishment that
necessary.
was given is definitionally not necessary. Do we agree?
By dictionary standards, yes, but not
There
by
we
the Old
fucking go.
Testament
That's all.
standards
That's all we
of.
need. I didn't say
Okay,
anything with the
there
Old
you go.
Testament.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay, fair
Now,
enough.
who
Right.
decided the Old Testament standards?
God decided it, and a lot of the things that
Mm.
they were doing after that
Mm-hmm.
were concocted by their own things that they inserted in their own
Gotcha.
laws and stuff. But
So
he gave them the laws, the
the
ones they should have
standards,
followed. Yes, he gave them the laws.
the standards that
Did,
determined that there would be corporal punishment was a standard that God put in place.
correct.
Or
Murder,
did he have to?
hanging,
Did he have to
the
do
death
it?
penalty was applied for certain crimes.
Did he
Sorry,
have to do it that way?
did he? I'm glad he did.
No. Did he have to do it that way?
Oh, again, no. To your point, he could have just said set him
Okay.
free or give him a jail sentence.
So
Okay,
now we're back at the start. God didn't have to set a
okay.
system in place where there would be corporal punishment. That system is what caused the women to get harmed, well, according to you. And that means the whole thing was unnecessary. So God purposely
No, I mean,
chose a
no,
system
it
that
means
would
the
demand
corporate.
that innocent people get harmed, and then he
No,
caused innocent people to get harmed.
no, you went from being
He
a
did.
corporal thing about talking about the death penalty for crimes, then you came back to the
That's
judgment on David's
that's
house.
capital that's
We're
capital
not talking.
punishment, Steve. I didn't say capital punishment, I said corporal.
Okay, corporal punishment. Okay,
They're different.
I said capital punishment because I always think of capital punishment over there. So, so corporal punishment, I call it capital punishment, but it's
Capital
I don't know
punishment
what
is
the
death.
difference honestly is.
Corporal
Okay,
punishment
okay, okay. That's
means
what got
a group of people will get punished for one or two people's crimes.
got it. Okay, thanks for clearing that up because I actually didn't know what that was going to see. Now I do know. Okay, so you're talking about corporal punishment, not capital punishment. Did God institute corporal punishment? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking over there? Yes.
Yeah.
In that patriarchal society, there was going to be a corporal punishment for a time for those households that the households would suffer. We even read about it in the
But
Exodus
buddy,
when they were disobedient.
Stephen, we all
It's
know you don't have to keep
Mhm.
telling us the stories. We know the Bible better than you'll ever know it, so we don't need it. Just tell us. We just need simple yes and
I
no
don't know
answer and
better, but
question. So, Steve, did God have to set up that system, or could he set up a different system?
well, he could have set up 30,000 different systems, but
That's
then we'll
all
be
I need to
arguing
know.
about
So
which
the
one he
answer is
wanted to
yes.
set up.
So the answer is yes.
Uh, yes, he could have set up a different
Okay.
system. Yes,
So what do we call
but for
something
that
that
time,
could have
but
been different?
no, you have
What do we call something
in
that could
that
have been different?
time, place.
We're not
Okay, let
asking
me ask
about in that time. We're
in
asking
that
what do
time,
we
place,
call
and manner.
something that could have been different?
No, no, in that time, place,
In
and
that
manner. In that
time,
time, place,
you
and
listen, you don't
manner,
know
it
anything
was
about
a
that
different
time. I'm
society.
asking you, I know it was.
It was
God
different.
designed it. The question is, what do we call
No,
something
he
that
didn't
could have been
design it.
different?
He did not design it. Which
Yeah, he
one did he
did.
design? Well, he designed what?
All of
The
them.
sinning
He,
or
de-
the
he declares the
no?
end from the
He designed
beginning. He
sinning.
decided how everything's going to go down. Paul already told you in Romans chapter 9. He raised
Oh,
Pharaoh
hold
up for
on,
the very purpose of making sure that he
hold
would
on.
work his wonders by
Do
killing
you know what that
babies in
means?
Egypt. I do know what it
Hold
means, yeah.
on. Do you know what
Because
that means
I've
when he
actually read the
says from
Bible,
the
yeah.
beginning to the end?
Yeah.
Do you know what you sure
I've
know what it means
actually
when he says
I've
he will
actually
make
read it, yeah.
okay, but when he says he will make the beginning as the end, do you know what he's talking about?
He didn't say that.
And the
He
and
says
the end will be the same as the beginning.
I declare the end from the beginning is what I said.
Okay, all right.
That means
I
he already
declared it.
declared before anything happened what the end would be. He already determined
Yeah, he
the
knew
fate of
before
the
we were
universe.
born.
So
Yeah, he knew
so
before
what we
we were
need
born. We were having this conversation.
so what we need to know is
Correct.
could God have made the legal system in the Old Testament, whatever you want to call it, could he have made it differently?
Of course, he could have made it differently, but given
Okay.
how it worked
And
what
what
it
do we
was
call
consisted of, I think it
something
was
that
perfectly
could be different?
different. Could have been different.
But no,
Doesn't
you
mean
can't
it'd be
use
better
you
or
can't
it
use
would be because
different to
we
define
want
the
it to
word
be our way.
different. What's the word we've been talking about all this time? What word do we call something when it could be different?
Oh, I'll to make you happy. Necessary.
It's unnecessary, you mean?
Unnecessary. Okay, unnecessary.
There you
Sorry,
go. Okay,
necessary.
so my
Okay.
point's pretty clear. I don't know why the
But
word unnecessary is
but
giving you so
but
much trouble. So God set up
it's
a
not.
system
It's
of
not.
retribution that is definitionally unnecessary, that caused the women
No.
definitionally to
No.
unnecessarily be punish for David's crime. Yes, this is true.
No,
That
no,
you said
he
it was
could
true.
no. Because
Those
you're
words
going
left
you're
your
going to
mouth.
the un,
You already
you're
agreed
going
that
to
based
the
on the actual definition of necessary, that the system that God put in place and the punishment could have been different, which means
yes.
definitionally they weren't necessary.
No, you said were they necessary? I said it could have been different. That doesn't
That
mean
means
it's
they're
unnecessary.
unnecessary. Yes,
What we're talking about
unnecessary
is he
literally
gave
means it could have
a
been different.
set of
Do you
laws.
want me just to read you the definition of
No,
unnecessary?
again, the biblical definition,
He
sorry,
has
the
no
dictionary
idea how
definition,
words work.
and applying it to the law back then. No, no, I do. The
Would you
system you
like
set
to
up back
speak
then
the
and the
same
laws
English
that you
language
set
as
up.
me, or do you want a different English language?
No, actually, the thing he set up back then was
So you're
hugely
never
different,
just
including
like
the things
never
he do.
going to engage. You're just gonna
No,
like
no,
pontificate
no,
on
no,
the Bible and the system. This would go so much.
no.
We could have covered so much ground by now if you would just answer questions.
It could be totally unnecessary the way you want it to be, the way you would have written if you were God.
I
If
didn't
you
say
were
how I
God, the
wanted to
way
be.
you would have
I
decided
didn't
it.
say anything about my
You
desires.
said it was necessary.
This has nothing to do with my
Okay,
desires.
unnecessary.
This is
It
definitionally
was
speaking.
necessary to have a system in place. He chose this system in which the patriarchal society was going to be a factor, a huge factor.
The question is,
That's
did that
correct.
system have to be put in place, or could a different system be put in place?
Now we're arguing apples and oranges. I mean,
No, we're not.
could it?
It's
Could
yes or
a,
no.
a different system could have been put in place. The one that I
There
don't
you
know what
go.
it would have been, though.
Would a
Okay,
similar system put in place?
but it's a
Let's
fair
imagine
system.
God put in
It's a
place
fair
an
system.
identical
Remember,
system that didn't
he preached the
include
gospel.
innocent people getting punished. Would that be better?
Innocent people getting punished.
Just need
Now,
a yes or no. Do
innocent
you
people
think that an
getting
identical
punished.
same system that doesn't include innocent people getting punished for crimes they didn't commit, would that be a better system?
A better system. It would
Steve,
be
I
a
just need a yes
system
or
in
no.
which
I just need a
it
yes or
would
no.
be a
Steve, I'm going to start
system
muting you.
in which
Steve?
wouldn't function.
Well, oh, now you're muted. Sorry, Steve. Listen, I'm not going to yell over you for the next however long you're going to be up here, okay? If you don't answer questions, I'll either mute you or move on, okay? Yeah, today's the day to put your big boy pants on and just answer questions. They're not hard. They're yes or no questions. Everyone here could answer the question. Chat. Could it be that God could institute a system identical to the one he did, just without the corporal punishment or the people suffering that didn't commit the crime? And would it be better? Let's see if there's like yeses or nos. Would it be better, do you think, if innocent people didn't get punished? Let's see what the chat says. I'm assuming the chat, I mean, maybe they're so flustered they can't answer. Oh, we've got a couple yeses from the chat. A few more yeses, a lot of yeses from the chat now. Oh, fucking a ton of yeses now. Okay. So, Steve, the chat seems to be able to answer the question. He didn't even know he was muted the entire time. He had no, oh, excuse me. He had no idea he was muted the entire time. Steve, no one heard anything you just said. We're still waiting for you to say yes or no.
Well, I'm not even sure what happened here. No.
I know, because you weren't paying attention. Yes or no? Would it be better if God had instituted an identical system, but just without the fact that innocent people would be punished for the crimes that they didn't commit?
God's punishment,
yes or no,
instituted for...
Well, there you go, Steve. Now you're muted again. I told you. You're going to say yes or no, or you're just not going to get heard. I don't know what to tell you. This is not hard. I just need a yes or no. I'm not interested in any of your preaching. We've all heard the preaching. Preaching does nothing for us. We're all ex-Christians. There's nothing you can say that we haven't heard. So again, we need a yes or no out of you, Steve. Could God have instituted an identical system that didn't include innocent people getting punished for crimes they didn't commit, and would it be better? Well, you already said yes to the first one. What's the second one?
The second one is that he instituted a system.
Yes or no?
And
yes or no, Steve? And now you're muted. No one can hear you. Sorry, Steve. Still waiting for a yes or no. This is going to get really old really fast. Usually got some good grapes to feast on. Listen, I don't know when grape season is, but these ones are popping. Steve, try it again. Steve, we're still waiting for a yes or a no. Would it have been better for God to institute an identical system just without innocent people having to suffer for the crimes of the guilty?
I think the system instituted, including the gospel preached to every one of them, resurrected with
Yeah.
Jesus
Still waiting
was
for a
perfect.
yes or no, Steve. Still yes or no. Nothing you say matters unless it's a yes or no.
No, no. In God's timing and
Okay,
purpose, what
so
He did
so
and how
you're
He
saying
instituted
that
corporal punishment
instituting a
for that
system.
for that time.
So then what you're saying is that a system that purposely harms people who did not commit the
They didn't
crime
purpose.
is better than a system that doesn't?
No, what I'm saying is that He had all the
Well,
factors
that's what you
taken,
said then.
all of the He had all the contingency taken care of, which you would not.
I'm just asking for a
He
yes
had
or no.
everything.
Just asking for a yes or no,
I'm
Steve.
saying that
Just need a yes or no,
in
Steve.
that family
Just need a
system,
yes or no, Steve. Just need a
punishment
yes or no,
came down. It
Steve.
came down on the family.
Steve, no one can
Simple as
fucking
that.
hear
There would have
you
been a
until
better
you say
system in
yes or
place.
no. No one can hear you.
There would have been.
No. Well, now you're muted. You can shout all you want. Shout all you want. I'm done talking over you, Steve. I just need a yes or no. This is not hard. Just need a yes or no, buddy. Imagine being a grown-ass man and being too afraid of what your own book says to say yes or no. It's just a yes or fucking no. Try it again, Steve. Yes or no.
Yeah,
Would that system be better?
He
He
did
was
set up that system.
he was talking the whole time. The question is, would it have been better,
Wait.
Steve? Yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. We
What-
finally
what
fucking got
better?
there. A system that didn't
What?
include that people who didn't commit the crimes would get punished would be better than the system that does mean they'll get punished. You finally said yes. We
He
agree.
took-
Now the question is,
No,
why
I said
would
yes,
what? Why would this?
No, I said yes. He gave that system in place already. And you
I
read the
didn't ask you.
context
I
of
didn't
the
ask
whole
you
thing,
about
the
that. I asked
system
you,
is in
would
place.
a system that's identical to the Old Testament, without the corporal punishment, be better or worse? What would it be?
Going back and living in that time, I think the corporal punishment was necessary for that
I-
patriarchal society. So it
Oh,
was
so
best.
I'm asking about that time. Well, technically, I am asking about that time. So you're saying that at the
And you have
time,
to ask about the time, buddy, because it's
so
a different time.
you're saying at the
They're
time,
way
in,
different
we'll
times.
say in the Bronze Age and the early Iron Age, that's when this was talking about. In that time period, it was better to punish innocent people for the crimes of the guilty.
In that patriarchal society,
Just a yes or
the
no.
household will be punished.
Just a yes or no.
God's plan of restoration
Just a yes or
for them
no.
was already in place, though.
Just a yes or no, Steve.
That was the
Just yes or no,
best plan
Steve.
that was available.
Just need a yes or no.
That was the perfect plan
Just
for
need-
that society. It was
That's a perfect
for that
plan.
society.
So you're telling me
Yeah, for that
that
society.
punishing innocent people is a perfect plan.
In that society that you didn't live in, that you
I'm-
don't
I'm just-
understand.
I just need a yes or actually, Steve. I do
patriarchal
understand the
society, a king's
society.
household
I understand
was
it
viewed as
quite
his own
fine.
honor, status, and
I understand
property,
it
and
quite
that
fine, Steve.
punishment
I
when it
don't
fell
need
on
more
him
explanations.
was completely
Steve, no
demeaning
one
to
cares
him
about
and
your
that
preaching.
household.
We just need simple answers here.
I'm not preaching.
Yeah,
that
you're
wasn't preaching.
you're just
I'm
saying
giving you a
nonsense that
patriarchal
doesn't actually
society,
address
household.
the
No,
topic. The
it
topic is
existed
whether or
back
not
Totally
it was
different
better
back
or
then.
worse, and you said that it was better. It was better for God to institute a system where innocent people got punished for the crimes of the guilty. Now, next question: why is that
I
better?
think that it was a system that was it was a system that he had implemented. It was a system
Why is it better?
used for that patriarchal society.
Yeah, but why is it
that
better?
Worked in that time.
But why
because
is it
was
better?
A completely different world back then.
Steve, why was it better?
Well, what do you mean by why was it better? At that time,
I asked
it was
you
better.
why. Why was it better than the not punishing the innocent? Why is that better?
Because in God's whole plan, punishing the innocent, his household, if you will, there's already a restoration plan for that. So he punished David
No,
through
no
that.
one,
but
no
he
one
had a
asked you
restoration
about the
plan for the people.
restoration.
Oh, but
I
it's
asked
huge.
you
If I was one of the-
factually.
well, no, ask me this
Factually,
question. No, no,
does
you-
God's does
okay, let me
God
ask me this.
does Jesus does the existence of Jesus dying on the cross, is that dependent on innocent people having to be punished for crimes they didn't commit? If the answer is yes,
Okay.
then you're going to call Jeremiah and Ezekiel liars. So go ahead.
No, okay, then ask me here. Then ask me this way. Then you didn't ask me this question. Okay,
How
if
about you?
I
How
look-
about you
if
answer the
I-
question that I already asked, rather than trying to answer
If-
questions I never asked? I asked you,
if
was
I'm-
it necessary to punish people who didn't commit crimes in order for Jesus to die for your sins? Was that necessary?
That's not. You're conflating the two. You didn't.
I'm
ask
not
me if I'm
conflating the
back in that
two.
time. Ask
So
me.
just to be
Ask
clear,
me.
did
I'm back
Jesus
in that
have to
time. I'm at
die?
David's house.
Does
Let me
Jesus'
answer the question
sacrifice
first.
for your sins? You didn't answer my question. You're inventing your own questions. My question was,
No. I
do
want to ask you.
innocent people have to suffer for guilty people's crimes in order for Jesus to do what Jesus did?
Well, no, but the question that
Oh,
the
there we
point
go.
I want to make is
So
ask
then
me
your
this:
point
if
is
I'm a
invalid. Your
person,
point doesn't mean anything.
let me just
Jesus could have
answer. Let
done
me just answer.
everything Jesus wanted to do. Everything God needed Jesus to do
No,
could have been done
no.
without innocent people being punished for the crimes of the guilty. You just said yes.
I'm one of the innocent people. I'm one of the innocent people back in the Old Testament.
You
I'm
are
one of those
not
people
innocent.
in David's household. I got killed. Then
Is that
today,
necessary?
after Jesus preaching to me, I'm
Steve,
with him.
no
Then
one is
am
fucking
I going to
asking
be
you
mad,
about the
or am I
herring of
going to
hell.
accept it as a
No, but
totally?
no one's asking that fucking question. I don't know why you can't pay
Yeah, but
attention.
it's
No one asked
you're
you that.
assuming that those
No one
people,
asked you that, and
but
you're
assuming that those
assuming way too
people
much. Those,
that were
what you're
in that
talking about,
household
Steve, has
today
nothing to
would
do
not
with
be
what I'm
saying
talking
to
about.
you,
And
no,
Steve,
we're okay with this.
nobody can fucking
God had
hear
a
you,
restoration plan
Steve.
for
Your
us.
microphone's not as loud
Okay,
as mine. I don't know why you keep doing this to yourself. Steve, no one
because
can
you won't
hear
allow me to
you.
make a point.
Nobody can hear
You're
you.
trying to
When you
corral
try, I
without
need
an
you to
opposing
answer
point.
simple yes or no questions. That's all I need.
Then I want
See,
then answer
we
my
could have
simple yes or
been
no question.
we could have
Answer my
been.
answer my
I'm not gonna let you exit the conversation. You will finish the
see that's what
conversation.
happens. You
Steve,
say
you will
that
finish this
when you answer a
conversation.
question, I answer your
Steve,
question.
so now I'm gonna meet you. Didn't answer my question. So this is what's gonna happen. I'm more than happy to answer any of your dumb questions when we fucking finish this talking point. But you will never just exit the conversation because you don't like it. I will never let you just fucking walk out of this conversation without finishing it because we're not fucking finished. The question is very, very simple. We're still trying to figure out, was the rape of these women absolutely necessary? Now, you said that because of the Old Testament system, it was necessary. And then I said, why? And you said, because of what Jesus did. But then you said, well, Jesus could have done it without it being that way, which means now it's not necessary. So I'm still trying to find out why that system was either better or necessary. Those need to be answered because your position hinges on those two questions. Without those two questions being answered, your position doesn't mean anything. That's why I'm asking you the question. I'm not asking you the question because I'm trying to be a jackass. I'm asking you the question because your own argument must answer these questions in order for it to be valid. So again, I'll ask you the question, why was it necessary?
It's inert because
why?
the restoration plan was already there. Therefore,
I
it
asked
makes
you,
it your
I asked you
necessary
why.
argument is
I didn't
flawed.
ask you if it was inert. I asked you why was it necessary?
That is because of that reason. It's made inert.
Why was it necessary?
Because it's made inert.
That's not an answer. Inert just means that it doesn't have any. Inert just means that it doesn't.
My point of view, what the answer is,
Steve, you're using words that you don't know. Inert just means it no longer has potency anymore.
Exactly, it doesn't.
So that doesn't answer my question. My question is, why was it better for the innocent to suffer under that Old Testament system than for them to not suffer?
Again, I just said to you, in that system that you don't understand, just like with
I do understand it.
It's a patriarchal system. No, you don't.
I know, Steve.
Patriarchal society.
Steve, we heard you say it 500. Hey, question. Was it a patriarchal society, Steve?
Yes, it was.
Oh, fuck! You said it 5,000 times. I just didn't catch it the 5,001 time.
Well,
Thank you, Steve. Maybe say it so many fucking times and we'll remember it. We heard you the first time. We know it's a patriarchal society. The question is, why was it better? Why was it better? Why was it better, Steve? Why was it better to make the innocent suffer?
You don't understand what it is because
I'm asking why.
What it means to
I'm
be a
asking why.
society.
I'm asking why.
Because in a patriarchal society, that's exactly what happens. Judgment
so
comes on
in a patriarchal society, it's better for innocent people to die.
At that time, it was what it was. It's not better.
I'm not asking you what it was. I know what it was. I'm asking, is it better for innocent people to die under the system?
Innocent people, but again, it's a patriarch.
Steve doesn't. He can't fucking answer the question. This is why I say Christians have no morals. They can't even bring themselves to answer simple fucking yes or no questions. It's very easy.
I just did. I answered
If
the
you
question.
think it's
I
better,
said to
we
you,
need to know why it's
it
better.
could have been
You
another
said
way.
it's better because in patriarchal societies, this is just how things are. That's not an answer. My question is, why
It
is
is.
that better?
It is.
Because you don't think it's better. You don't think it should be that way.
It's
Did
not.
God
It's not
did
necessarily
God give
better or
laws?
worse for that
Did God
time.
give laws based on what
I
the
didn't.
people were doing? Or did God give them laws
I
to
didn't.
make them different from the people around them? What did he say in Leviticus
I
18?
I wasn't living in that time, but I can tell you that
Oh, but
if
you
I'm
know all
living in
about
that
it?
system,
Steve,
it's a whole
I asked you a
different.
question. I'm not going to let you run away from it. Did God give them laws that were customary to what they were doing, or did he give them laws to separate them from the people of the time?
Well, he gave them ritualistic laws to separate them. Very
It's a yes or
ritualistic
no.
laws like
Which one
that.
is it? Did he give them laws that were different or similar to the people around them?
I think some. Mm, uh, there's over 550, 653 laws. I'm not even actually sure if some are similar or
Just
not.
waiting for a yes
Many
or
were
no.
different.
Were they different or similar?
The 653 laws they had to follow, were they different or similar? Um, Most of them were different. I can't tell you honestly if I know if all of them were what other ones were doing. If
Mm-hmm.
other
And
clans were trying to do the same thing,
there
but
you go.
most of them were
And why? Why were they
ritually
different?
different
Why were they different?
to sep to they were
It's
to be
coming. You almost said
ritualistically
it.
different.
You almost said it. To
What?
separate them from the people around them. Leviticus 18 says it.
Okay, to separate. Sure. Okay, to separate them
There you
from
go.
the
Okay,
people around. Okay.
so God's
Yeah.
laws were put in place to make them holy and separate from the people around them. That's why it says, "You shall keep my statutes and my ordinances and commit none of these abominations, either the native born or the alien that resides among you. For the inhabitants of the land who were before you committed all of these abominations, and the land became defiled." So he's saying, don't defile the land. Follow these laws, and you'll actually be holy and set apart from these people, and the land won't vomit you out. So these laws are not temporary, and according to God, they are different from the culture. The culture doesn't determine
They are
God's
temporary.
law.
They are
So,
temporary laws. They are
oh,
temporary laws.
no, they're not. God says
In
otherwise.
the old, yeah,
Jesus
it
says
doesn't. In the Old
otherwise.
Testament, God. No, can I just answer? In the Old Testament,
I'll
God
give you
already said, "I'm
$100
giving
if
you a new covenant."
no, he didn't say anything
Hold
about
on, can I
laws.
just answer this? Hold on.
You're quoting
Yes,
Jeremiah
he did.
31:31, and that didn't come true yet.
Paul said
I'm sorry,
Jesus
I
put an
said
end to
God
the
said.
law.
Paul's a liar. Jesus and God disagree with Paul.
What? No,
Jesus and
now you're
God
on
both
drugs, man.
disagree with Paul on this.
Hold on 1 second here. Just 1 second. You can't take the Bible and one thing and say, I'm going to agree with it now and I'm going to use it, and then go later on to Paul's writing and say, I disagree with this and I'm not going to use it for a
The
point.
fuck you talk
You
about?
can't say, I
I
believe
didn't
this.
say I don't
Well,
believe
you
Paul
can't
wrote
say
any
one
of that
thing and say
shit.
Paul's a
I'm telling
liar.
you that
Paul's not a
inside the
liar.
book, Paul disagrees with God. Do you think God's a liar or
No, he doesn't.
Paul? Yeah, he does. You want me to show you?
Neither.
Would you
Yeah,
like
go
me to
ahead.
show you?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just show
Yes,
you.
please.
I love it
Oh, wait,
when
just
like
why are you doing that
overconfident
if
Christians
I
get
can
up here
talk?
that have
You were
literally
talking about,
never
you're
read the
talking about,
Bible, not even once. They have no
hold
idea
on,
what's in this
hold
book.
on.
They have no
I'm,
idea what
I'm,
the ancient culture
I'm
was
on
like
Genesis,
that. They
I'm
come
on
in here
Genesis
and they
1:1, and I'll
cry
be
and
going to it.
complain about what atheists know and what atheists don't
You
know.
just,
And the reality is they don't even know what's in their own fucking book. And I always have to end up reading it to them because they don't know how to read.
you said
This is
the
Deuteronomy
law is still
11.
in
You shall
place.
love the
I
Lord
said
your
the law
God,
is not in place
therefore,
anymore.
and keep his charge, his decrees, his ordinance, and his commandments
Yes,
always.
yes.
How long is that?
Okay, here's the
How
thing.
long is
The Old
always?
Testament, his testament,
How
the Old
long is
Testament, it says he's giving
always?
us a new covenant.
How long
Say
is
that again.
always? How long is
Always from what?
always?
What did you just read?
How long? But
But
you
what
weren't
did you
even
just read?
listening. I'm reading the Bible to you. It's a shame you weren't listening to it. You shall love the Lord your God, therefore, and keep his charge, his decrees, his ordinances, and his commandments always. How long is always?
Yes, it's forever.
Oh, forever. So he says to
And
follow these laws forever. Then he says in the next
no,
chapter,
Jesus,
these are the
can
statutes
I
and
just answer?
ordinances that you must diligently observe in the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, has given you to occupy all the days that you live on the earth. All of them. How long is that?
Correct. And
Okay,
then
did he
we
say these
read,
are
if I
temporary?
can answer, can I just answer? Yes, in the Old Testament, it says he's giving us a New Testament. He's going to write it down
No,
on
it
their
doesn't.
hearts. Jesus
It
came
says you're getting a new
with,
covenant.
he,
not
He doesn't
Testament.
say, I'm going to write them on in your hearts. In your
That's
hearts. He
Jeremiah
doesn't say
30.
that.
That's Jeremiah 31:31, and you're misquoting it. Do you have to read that to
No,
you
I'm not.
now? Yeah, you are. I guarantee you, when I read
No, I'm
Jeremiah
not.
31, you're going to hate what it says. You want me to read it for you? I'll read it for you. I know you haven't read it. It's okay. You heard someone preach about it, but you never actually read it for yourself. Look what it says. But all shall die for their own sins. Oh gosh, what about that? All shall die for their own sins. The teeth of the one whom eats sour grapes shall be set on edge. The days are surely coming, says the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Interesting. That's not you. This is with the house of Israel and Judah. It says it will not be like the covenant that I made with their ancestors when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, a covenant that they broke, though I was their husband, says the Lord. Follow this part. But this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says the Lord. I will put my law. Did he say law? Yeah, he's going to put a law in their hearts. I will put my law within them. I shall write it on their hearts. Did he say a new law? No, he didn't say a new law. He says my law. We know what the law is. And I will be their God, and they will be my people. No longer shall they tell one another or to say to each other, know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest. Do all people know Yahweh? Steve? I think God took him. Devo. Yes, he lost reception again. Stevo. Stevo. Anything? Nothing?
Emotional damage.
Is he done? Well, if he's listening, I was going to get to Deuteronomy 30, which, I mean, is really going to fuck up his worldview. God says, moreover, the Lord, well, Moses says for God, moreover, the Lord your God will circumcise your heart and the heart of your descendants, so that you will love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, in order that you may live. Interesting. When does the New Testament say this is going to happen? They believe that your heart is circumcised when you put your faith in Jesus, which is weird, because in verse 8 it says, then you shall again obey the Lord, observing all of his commandments that I'm commanding you today. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. God says in Deuteronomy that when he does circumcise your heart, you will follow all of these commands. You see that, Steve-O? It's right there in the book. Should have read it. Well, I'm sure he's done. He has no reception anymore, but maybe I'll just finish with Jesus' own words. He says, therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So, while Jesus doesn't make it a salvation issue, he does make it a matter of greatness. If you want to be great in the kingdom of heaven, guess what? You got to follow the fucking commandments, bud. Sorry, Steve. Got to do it. I know you hate God's word, but that's what he said. All right. Well, Steve's gone. I could take another guess, but unfortunately, I got to be done by 8. So, as much as I would love to continue fucking being a menace today, I've been pretty hard on him today, to be fair. Not to everybody. I've been giving him a lot of grief. Nevertheless, I'm gonna read through the rest of my super chats, friends. And then I'll end here about 8 o'clock. If there's somebody in the box and I get done reading the super chats early, I'll probably take another guess. But I don't know if I'll have time for that. We'll see. But thanks for being here, friends. That was kind of a banger tonight. I did not know this topic would be so much fun. I honestly didn't know what to expect, but boy, did the Christians deliver tonight. Holy smokes. Good night, Jusini. Earthquake in Colombia. At least 20 dead. Oh shit. Very interesting. Heard a guy say the Bible predicted AI because of the city mentioned in Joshua. Wow. Just wow. Listen, Christians and Bible believers they'll never get over the fact that some of like the cities in the Bible like still exist. And that, sometimes things happen to them that were predicted long ago that are similar. Like you might have an earthquake. Newsflash. Cities back then that had frequent earthquakes, a lot of them have frequent earthquakes today. The tectonic plates haven't moved all that much. So these aren't really special predictions. These are pretty easy predictions to make. I could probably do the same. I predict within this decade, God is going to punish California by having a pretty severe earthquake because of their wickedness. We'll see if it comes true. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Low bar Bill, good to see you, my friends. As Phil Bros basically just throw their own feces at the wall and then look at it teary-eyed as if it's some beautiful creation. But we just smell shit. True. Only a Phil Bro can get on a live stream and use words they don't understand and they get mad at you when all you want to do is define the words. What the fuck do they mean? What do these words mean? They never know. Fallen cities. Thank you for the super chat. Phil Bros are the Jesus. It's funny because it's true. Phil Bros are the sovereign citizens of philosophy. What does your God do besides allow you to win arguments? Fucking nothing. You know what? They have just as much success in their word salad as do the sovereign citizens in court. As many times as you've seen a sob sit win in court is as many times as these dumb Phil Bros have ever won an argument for their God. Steve Wright, thank you for the super chat. Dr. Justin conducting a verbal quiz before the brain salad surgery on the brain salad patient. I gotta be honest, I did not know that I would spend the whole fucking night just going over definitions. This was not like something I planned for, but you know what? When people can't use words right, what do? You don't have too many choices here. Steve with another one. Thank you, Dr. Justin. The chosen music for outside the OR today is ELP's The Endless Enigma, which the patient is clearly suffering. You know what? I don't know the song. Unfortunately, I apologize. I wish I knew the song. But you know what? The patient that we had, fuck. I don't know what their conditions were today. What I do know is that they're in the ICU. Updates maybe will come later. We'll see. Probably gonna have to draw some blood, maybe do a lumbar puncture. We'll see. James says, that's some nice slow cooked lamb. Oh, fucking good reference to the caller with lamb in his mate. Imagine putting the word apologist in your screen name and not being able to know your own definitions. It's crazy. It's funny, we never even got to the Bible. That's the biggest shame. Is usually with the Phil Bros, you can get through the jibber jabber and then show them where the Bible just disagrees with them. We didn't even get that far. He couldn't even define words. Scad, thank you for the super chat. 170,000 active words in English, and he cannot define what words mean, but he can repeat names over and over and over again. Wild. Listen, what I needed, I didn't have one. What I needed was a counter for Aristotelian logic. That's what I need. I do actually have an automated counter for the comments. I'm going to make one that listens. I got one actually kind of already set up, but it listens to the conversation and is tracking my notes. I'm going to set one up to look for particular words so that like when, well, actually I can already do that. I'm already getting the words documented so that when certain words get uttered, it'll uptick the counter. I think that would actually be a lot of fun. Space Lord says, lamb, English motherfucker, do you speak it? Do they speak English in what? In Jewel? That's fucking crazy. I don't know the conversion between joules and English. Someone's going to have to help me with that formula. Brewer says, you said that there's a place on Discord for people who need help, but I can't remember it. Can you remind me? I'm in a lot of need. Thanks, Rock Hard for Doug. Yes, in Discord there is a unless they got rid of it. Let me double check. Okay. Let's see. It should be in the community section if it's still there. It's definitely not in Clown College or networking. All right, here's community. Let's see if it's still in here. Community outreach is the page. So if you go to the community section in the Discord, you'll find one called community outreach. We can't promise that every person who posts in community outreach will get all the help they need. But I can say that we have a lot of people in the Discord that virtually always pitches in when there's a need in the community. So I don't know what your need is, my friend, but I know that's probably the place to start. And I hope you're okay. Worthy Cat says Christians love to talk in circles because either they don't know the scriptures or because they know their shit. True. That's why that last guest, Steve-O, couldn't actually just answer questions. What he wanted to do is preach. He wanted to do the same thing the Philbro guy was doing with his philosophy is what that guy wanted to do with his Bible. Well, you know, the culture and patriarchy, no one fucking cares. They're just basic definitions, all we need. Dave says Lamb was so bad an apologist that Jesus would rip his arm loose from the cross just to facepalm him. Fucking A, that is funny. That is a funny joke. I think you're right, by the way. Dave, thanks for being rock hard. And Jeebus Fish, good to see you. Fuck, and for being thanks for being a member for over a year. It seems like bullshit or horseshit have stopped being used to define Philbro nonsense and has changed to lamb. Fucking A. 2 bangers in a row. Pretty good. Falcon Storm, thank you for the super chat. It says, Justin, I'm not sure about the translation, but this seems like a good merch idea. Oh, really? Mish Keith L. I agree God fucks everything up, but God ruins everything. I didn't So this is if I'm parsing your grammar correctly, this should be the Hifil participle of shakach, which means to spoil or to ruin, which means El or God is the ruiner, or God ruins. I kind of like it. I don't dislike it, actually. Let me take a picture of that so I can remember that for later. That's not a terrible idea. We could even add to it and do like what God ruins everything, similar to Hitchens. Hitchens would say, I think he said, did he say religion ruins everything? Is I think what he says. This would be equivalent. This would just be like God ruins everything. I'd go for that, actually. I'd be super interested to see if that sells. It's hard to know though. Merch ideas are tricky. You know, I've come up with merch ideas that I thought were actually really good, and then people didn't like them that much. And then I've come up with merch ideas that are like, well, this might be kind of silly. You know, no one's gonna want this. And then it goes like crazy. And so it's, you know, it just goes to show that what I think would be cool would, you know, I'm not a good arbiter. I'm not a good decider of what is cool. So, nevertheless, it looks like the modern Hebrew translation is destroyer, like God destroyer. Yeah, actually, that's a fair point. You could, if you're doing a genitive construction here, you could just say destroyer of God. I like that, actually. I do like that. Okay, fair point. I like the way you put that together. I think is better than the way I was reading it. Actually, good suggestion. Space Lord says, Steve-O, where were you when I laid down the foundations of the courtroom? Below, it is zoned as semi-holy. Listen, I've heard some shit in my life. I've never heard somebody claim that God was like holding court with Job somewhere other than where God usually resides. In fact, it says that Job, or Satan rather, Satan went to be in front of God. He went to God's presence to be in front of him. It doesn't say God went anywhere. But if we know one thing, is that Christians are going to lie about what this book says. And, wrong button, try it again. Christians are going to lie about this book, and that's all they got. Because if they're honest, it's going to cook them. There you go, getting some air conditioning going. If they're honest with the book, it's just going to cook them, you know? Design, thanks for the super chat and for being a member for over a year. Hell yeah. Disobey God's instructions, and there's going to be problems. Does nothing to defeat tonight's prompt. True. 100%. That's one of the points. If your only moral system is, I don't want to get fucked up by God, sorry. I don't think you have morals. You have preferences, and your preference is not to get fucked up by God. That's all you got. Twisted Scriptures, great to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for being here and for being a member for 6 months. Every single time Christians and other religious people defend grape and blame women, it reminds me of my cult days. Oof. I'm sorry what you went through with that cult. My days of being called Jezebel. Good part is, it helps me realize I'm on the right track to leave. Fuck yeah, it does. I'll never understand why women are so demeaned within the religion. It's got to be fear, cowardice. Chaotic Neutral, thank you so much for the super chat, friend. Says, I want a copy of The History of the Hebrews by Frank Sanders, 1914, as a curiosity. Oh, sure. Not rare, not pricey. Bad info, has maps. May Doug ground us all. A mineral. Amen indeed. A mineral is like a mineral. I fucking love it. That's actually a really good pun. But The History of the Hebrews, I actually haven't read this book. Because it's the turn of the century, right? So like 1914. So like George Smith and the other archaeologists that went east to do their digs are like just now in the early 1900s, like getting their findings out. They didn't know that much about the ancient Near East, and nowhere near what they knew like 40 or 50 years later. So I'd be interested to see what kind of nonsense is in that book, being that it was published in 1914. I love seeing like going to thrift shops and finding like American history books from like the 50s and 60s and see what kind of nonsense is in that. It's crazy. Anthony says, oh my God, words don't mean words. Anthony, you fucking nailed it. Words do not mean words. If you know anything about Christians, it's that words do not mean words. They will never mean words. Never. Their definitions are meaningless. Game Guy says, thanks for demonstrating the validity of Justin's prompt, Steve-O. Did you see how pleasant the previous caller was and say, well, this won't do? Actually, it's a fair point because Steve-O was legit crashing out. He totally forgot Proverbs 10:16. With many words, transgression is not lacking. Sorry about that. Always remember, if you're a Christian, with many words, transgression is not lacking. You will fuck something up if you just think blibber blabbering is going to help you. It will never help you. Shirley Temple with another super chat. Thank you. I think corporal means having to do with the body. Great Monday barbecue, though. Mark for Justin. Thank you. Yeah, corporal. Or corporeal. Yes. Corporeal would be like in a physical body. Corporal means like a corporation, a collection of people, right? Hopefully I was using the right word. At least I thought I did. Hunter Girl, thank you for the $20 super chat. Hope you're doing well. Is that a pooch in your profile picture? Oh, what a beautiful pooch. Here's my tithe to drop Steve. You know what? I should have dropped him sooner, but I got to be honest. I was having a little bit of fun with him. I got a little worked up because, like, I got to be honest. When you act like that big of a child, you can't say yes or no questions. It gets a little bit frustrating. Like, we could just be done. We could have been done 20 minutes ago. This conversation didn't have to be this long. I could have moved on to another guest. But he just wanted to be a coward. Chip, my friend, thank you for the super chat. Steve-O is a perfect example of the prompt. You fucking nailed it. Christians have no morals. He also made his God completely impotent. True. The minute God, like, well, you know, they did patriarchy back then, so God had to do patriarchy as well. Why? Is he too fucking weak that he couldn't institute a good system? What a chump. Not a God I would follow. Definitely not a God that has good morals. That you think you could just, you know, whatever they're doing is fine. The proud atheist. Hey, you should be proud. I know how frustrating it is for Christians to not answer the same question over and over, but I really think it's powerful for anyone watching who is on the fence. Thank you for your patience and work. Well, thank you, proud atheist. It is actually frustrating. I do remember when I was, even when I was like, in a kind of on my way out of Christianity, I would watch these types of debates, and I was always astounded by Christians' inability to be honest, and it was always embarrassing to me. I would watch these shows, and like I would legitimately feel like I wanted to root against a Christian because they always behave so badly. I would just watch Matt D just fucking tear them apart because they're all idiots. And then they say stuff. I'm like, oh, don't fucking say that. Don't do that. Oh, you're getting cooked. And I guess it was only a matter of time before I was on the other side because, you know, when the other side makes the best points, guess what? You're on the wrong fucking side. Chaotic Neutral, thanks for the additional super chat. Bro has been hanging out in copium dens and it rotted his mind. True. We have to get the Christian brain rot meter going. I haven't done it yet. I'll get to it. The Christian brain rot meter, he's got to be level 9 out of 10. I'm thinking. Penelope, thank you for the super chat. And for being a member for 6 months. Huge W. Oh, crap. I'm late for the party. Glad I caught you before it ended. Rock hard for Doug. Well, thank you, Penelope. I appreciate that. You can watch it back. I'll tell you, though, it was a little bit of a frustrating couple calls tonight. You might pull your hair out a little bit. I almost pulled mine out. Doug, thank you for the super chat. Awesome name, by the way. Do you have any recommended sources about why Christian NDEs about heaven are nonsense? Maybe something addressing the religious filter. Thanks. Simply wet for Justin. Oh, fuck, Doug. Thank you. This is a good question. So I studied NDEs for a long time, especially when I was no longer a Christian, but I kind of still believed in a God. I'll tell you what it was for me. The stuff that, because I don't know of any books or resources that specifically are addressing NDEs, saying that obviously they're just religiously filtered. I think there's a lot of studies. You can go to like PubMed and read a lot of studies where people have NDEs, and you'll discover that a lot of them are from their cultural background. On the Deconstruction cheat sheet, we do have a section called resources. And one of those resources is a couple links to NDEs from people with different cultures, talking about seeing Hindu gods or Islamic gods. And I think if someone's having an NDE and they're seeing the Islamic religious heaven and hell play out, I mean, it just seems like it's cultural, you know? So I do have, let me see where that section is. Where'd I put that damn thing? The other thing too, there you go, NDE and OBE studies. There's one document, 6 out-of-body experiences by the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology. And then I've got links to the AWARE projects 1 and 2. And then out-of-body experiences, multiple sensory replacement experiments, and potent psychedelic DMT mimics near-death experiences in the brain, an actual study. And there's a lot more out there, actually. You'll, in the footnotes, you'll find all kinds of other resources. But, I mean, what you'll discover is that, by and large, NDEs happen to people of all different stripes. I've got links for Islamic NDEs. I've got people from India giving their NDEs. A study on consciousness in the dying brain, and a couple others. We have maybe 10 different links on NDEs. But the reality is, if NDEs were real, right, everybody should experience them. Everybody who has ever died and come back should experience the identical same thing. but they don't. And so I think that's a good reason. And they've done experiments where they've triggered out of body experiences using DMT or using deep brain stimulation. And people report all kinds of stuff. You can like physically, you can just manipulate the brain into having these types of out of body experiences. So if you can just literally do it, seems like it's not God. Hope that helps. This makes it would be an easier prediction to say God is going to punish California by bringing fire. True. Probably could cut it down to a year. You're right. If I said this time next year, God will have punished Canada by setting their fucking trees ablaze. I mean, that's a win-win. You know what's going to happen. Sufficiently advanced tautology. Thank you for super chat, buddy. Says Steve, saying the wives suffering is inert is monstrous. True. That's why I tried to walk him down that path. Listen, if going to heaven means that your suffering is meaningless, well, it means that Jesus' suffering was meaningless too. Which is what he wanted to do. He wanted to preach about Jesus' suffering. And I was trying to get him to that point where he recognized that suffering for Jesus would be meaningless too, especially being a fucking God. How dare you downplay their trauma by saying it doesn't matter? It fucking does matter. Just because you get warm and fuzzy thinking about a blood sacrifice, get fucked. You nailed it. Steve, you're the reason why we do these live streams. And the Knights Who Say Knee coming in again. You misunderstood my super chat. You know, I probably did. I apologize if I did. I'm saying I heard a person saying that he thinks the Bible predicted AI because it mentioned the city of AI in, oh God. Oh geez. Sorry, you know what? I don't know why that went over my head the first time. I'm just tired, I guess. That might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know that Ai and Jericho are actually really old cities. Like they existed for a long time. There's a lot of mentions of Ai before the Bible ever existed. So does that mean that all of those texts before the Bible were prophesying AI coming along? Probably not. That would be silly. But, you know, people will do anything to think that the Bible is true. Birdkeeper, Mikey, thank you for super chat. Fiverr, say hi. Been a while. Rock hard for Doug. Well, fuck, Birdkeeper. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for stopping by. And my recommendation, we had a real banger tonight with Lamb Apologetics. I had so much fun with Lamb. I can't wait for him to post it on his channel. I guarantee you, on his channel, you're going to see a video talking about cooking me. In fact, let me show you his channel, y'all. Hold on. Let's see. I'm going to put his channel up here real quick. This guy right here, the Lamb Apologetics. This is the guy that you want to go subscribe to his channel, y'all. The Lamb Apologetics. He's almost got 1,000 followers. He's a really big deal, and he does play with puppets or Muppets. That's why I told you. I said you should stick with playing with puppets. And he pretended like I didn't, like he didn't know what I was talking about. Are you fucking stupid? It's right there in your. Obviously wasn't paying attention. But he does have a video here debating TikTok atheist, allegedly Ian. Interesting. I'd love to see how bad Ian fucked him up, to be fair. This guy, if I had to guess, I'm going to guess that Ian destroyed his word salad like within minutes. Because Ian actually knows how to use all these words. Let's see what it says. Are the comments, what do the comments say? Oh, so this guy keeps doing this thing where he asks you to explain something, and once you're done, he acts dumb. So, no. See, that's why he's frustrated. All the atheists are going to ask you your definitions of these words because they don't work. The way that you're using them in the sentence don't match the way the word is defined. So, yeah, it looks like I'm going to guess that this conversation with Ian actually went a lot like mine. Where the guy just tried to sound smart, and Ian actually pinned them down on words, tried to make words mean words. That's what it looks like to me. Friends, it is 7 till 8. I'm one of the few times ever I actually got off the stream early. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate y'all being here. Who's live right now that we can go raid? Surely somebody's live that we can go raid. Fuck, I'm going to follow his channel. Hold on. I want to give him a new subscriber. I don't think anyone else. You can go visit his channel, friends, and let him know how much fun you had watching him debate. It was a really enlightening time. But live right now, I'm seeing on YouTube. Let's see. Are there any? The line is live right now. I don't know for how long, but look, Dr. Aaron Adair and Dr. Blitz are double teaming physics tonight, and bada bing, bada boom. That's where y'all. If you're on YouTube, get on over to the line and give them a good old Justin raid. Tell them Justin sent you, and I'll pop in and say hi as well. They're my boys. So if you're on TikTok, who's live on TikTok right now that we can go raid? Surely somebody's live that we can go raid. Let me double check TikTok real quick. I got a headache from over talking those imbeciles. I really got to stop doing that. I don't know why I let them go on like that. I really should just turn their mics down and let them mumble in the background. That'd be a way easier. TikTok isn't showing up. Is TikTok? There we go. I had to load it twice, 3 times, 4 times. Fuck. Okay, TikTok's really slow right now for some reason. Okay, who's live on TikTok? Dun, dun, dun. Oh fuck, Monkey Boy's live. Okay. Y'all, if you're on TikTok, I need you to go over to Monkey Boy's live stream. Type in monkeyboy_logic, or his handle, or I think his nickname right now is Darth MB. But I think his actual channel is called Monkey Boy Logic. A friend of mine, he was actually on Apologetic this last Sunday with us. It was a good time. But friends, thank you so much for being here. I really love and appreciate all y'all. This show doesn't happen without y'all. Y'all are the ones that make this possible. So really appreciate y'all. We'll be back again on today.